in that agenda?
Don't call their names earlier. Okay, I'd like to ask Andrew to come up, and if everybody can work on standing up for the invocation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for this opportunity that we have, this opportunity to come together and just really to make the best possible decisions for our students. So we just pray for wisdom. We pray for wisdom of the superintendent, of the board, and for all the administrators that are here tonight, all the parents, and just please help us to come together on common ground and work collaboratively. So we thank you, Jesus, for all your blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, call this meeting to order. Roll call of members: Mrs. Howerton, Mr. Brantley, Ms. Compton-Twist, Mrs. Shoup, myself, Mr. Durrance, Superintendent Dr. Longshore, Mr. John McClure, our school board attorney, and Mrs. Wilburn, our board secretary. Now we're going to call on Sarah Beth Rogers to share information on Child Abuse Prevention Month and to read proclamation. Do we need to come down into the crowd, or can we? I guess that's the question. So what would you prefer? Okay,
Yeah,
just going to read it. Gotcha, because I know there's a couple on here. I'm just, yeah.
Good evening, you guys. My name is Sarah Beth Rogers, and I am the manager of the Children's Advocacy Center here in Highlands County. I just want to thank you guys for having us here today and for recognizing that April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and there is a lot of work for us to do as far as protecting our children goes. With me today, I have Miss Sally Fernzel. She is with Healthy Families, and they are our premier #1 prevention program here in Highlands County. They go actually into the home. They work with families for long periods of time, which is such a luxury here in Highlands County. And on their first visit, they look for 43 risk factors in families. So that's really a powerful prevention program that I hope that we can start taking advantage more of in Highlands County. The Pinwheels for Prevention campaign is spearheaded by Heartland for Children. We have a representative here from Heartland for Children as well. And the idea of the Great Pinwheels for Prevention campaign is really just to make great childhoods happen. A lot of times making great childhoods happen mean very simple things. It means not only supporting families and supporting children, but playing an active role in those children's lives. If there's anything that we've learned from research about children and child abuse, is the one thing that's most important in preventing it is making sure that each child has one stable, loving adult in their lives. But there's still a lot of work to be done, and I'm telling you this from experience. As a Children's Advocacy Center manager, my job is to work with a multidisciplinary team of agencies and individuals who respond to child abuse. That means working with our local law enforcement, working with our Department of Children and Families, working with our state attorney's office, our guardian ad litem, medical providers, mental health providers. There's a plethora of people and agencies who are involved in each and every child welfare case here in Highlands County. Currently, or as of March 27th, according to some data from Heartland for Children, we have 566 open child welfare cases here in Highlands County. That's a lot. That's a lot. Tri-county-wide, there's just barely over 2,000 open welfare cases, so Highlands County accounts for over a quarter of those open child welfare cases currently. Another shocking statistic here is we only have 12 foster homes in Highlands County. Obviously, becoming a foster home is a huge step that you can take to help support children who've been abused, but it is definitely a need here. Now, Not all of those 566 open child welfare cases and those children involved in those cases need a foster home, that's for sure. But each of them could benefit from a stable and loving adult. This could look like mentoring a kid, going and bringing them lunch once a week at school. This could look like supporting their parent, maybe babysitting for them every once in a while, bringing a single mom a dinner. There are a lot of little things that we can do to support children and their families and ultimately work towards that goal of preventing child abuse. So I encourage you all to think about what you can do during this Child Abuse Prevention Month. I have a whole calendar of events that you guys can take part of. Looks like this. I know our Highlands County Board of County Commissioners has posted that on their website and on their Facebook page, so it's easily accessible. But a couple of the highlights here is this morning we had our Child Abuse Prevention Month kickoff. I see some faces that were there this morning. We also have 4 Darkness to Light training opportunities. That Darkness to Light training goes through the 5 steps to preventing child sexual abuse. Those trainings are hosted throughout the community. We have 1 in Lake Placid, 1 in Avon Park, and 2 in Sebring. We also are doing 2 screenings of the film Resilience, and that specifically talks about adverse childhood experiences and what they can do to a child's body and health throughout their lifetime. Both of those trainings are about 2 hours long. They're very low commitment, but they will fill you with lots of good, valuable information. Our libraries are also hosting 6 different story time events where our therapy dogs that are in my office, Stella and Trey, they are therapy dogs of the Highlands County Sheriff's Office. They will be present and being able to enjoy some fellowship with some kids. And then also pay attention to our county Facebook page. They're posting a lot of valuable information of what child abuse looks like and what we can do to prevent it. So those are just a few things. I think of the most important thing you can take away from anything that we share today about Child Abuse Prevention Month is that every adult in the state of Florida is a mandated reporter. So if you suspect any kind of abuse happening to a child, the most simple thing you can do is report that abuse. It's very easy to report abuse. You can do it online or over the phone. The number is 1-800-96-ABUSE, or you can do it through the DCF website. If there's anything, I can just stress. It's such a simple thing that we as adults can do is report something. If you see something, you've got to say something, because you never know when you're going to save a kid's life, and you never know when your call to the hotline is going to put a mentor or an adult that might care for that kid in their life as well. So with that, I'm going to ask Miss Sally to come up and officially read the proclamation. There's a lot of hope in abuse and a lot of hope in trauma. There's such simple things that we can do to help prevent it and make this world a better place for our kids and promote more great childhood. So Miss Sally, if you'll come read that for us.
Thank you, Sarah Beth. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sally, and I am from the Healthy Families Program, and it's my privilege to read the proclamation to prevent child abuse. The proclamation states, whereas... Excuse me, yes, ma'am? The proclamation reads, whereas Florida is committed to improving the lives of all Floridians and securing a better future for the citizens of this state, and whereas children who have adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, are at a higher risk of short and long-term physical, psychological, and behavioral challenges that can impact the individual child and the greater community, and whereas parents and caregivers who have resources and support are better equipped to give their children safe and nurturing experiences, and whereas children have better mental health and physical health and academic success when they are raised in a safe, stable, and nurturing environment, and whereas the Florida Department of Children and Families Secretary has a vision for holistic services by integrating systems and services. And whereas the state of Florida has established Hope Florida, a pathway to prosperity, a personalized approach to helping families overcome barriers to self-sufficiency through community collaboration. And whereas Floridians can call 850-300-HOPE to speak with a care navigator for support to develop a plan to achieve economic self-sufficiency, referrals to local partners, and help identifying goals and barriers in their lives. And whereas during the month of April, Prevent Child Abuse Florida, in collaboration with the Governor's Office of Adoption and Child Protection, the Florida Department of Children and Families, and the Ounce of Prevention Fund of Florida, implements Pinwheels for Prevention, a statewide coordinated campaign to raise awareness of child abuse prevention efforts by teaching about healthy child development and positive parenting practices, and establishing circle of parents, peer support groups. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month provides everyone a chance to learn how they can play a role in preventing abuse and neglect, including adverse childhood experiences, ACEs. And whereas Child Abuse Prevention Month reminds all Floridians of all ages that they can help children increase positive childhood experiences, which leads to happier, healthier childhoods. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the School Board of Highlands County, Florida, do hereby extend my support to all observing April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Florida, dated this 5th day of April 2022. Thank you.
Okay, our next presentation is for Character Word for Work Ethic, presented by Sebring Middle School. Do we need to go down for that, or can we just present? Okay, gotcha. Sorry I ask each time. Make sure.
Hi, my name is Riley,
And I'm Kate, and we're representing Sebring Middle School.
and our power word of the month is work ethic.
The dictionary defines work ethic as the principle that hard work is intrinsically virtuous or worthy of reward.
There are 5 characteristics of work ethic. People with strong work ethic are reliable, dedicated, productive, cooperative, and self-disciplined.
Being reliable and dependable are important because you show others that you can be trusted to do what must be done.
Dedication to job or task shows others how important the hard work is and that the end result has been worth the work.
Productivity is important because hard workers don't stop until the task is complete.
Cooperative and teamwork are life skills that are necessary to be successful in most all situations.
Finally, self-discipline is important because it helps people prioritize their time and energy to meet their goals.
At Sebring Middle School, we try to show work ethic inside and outside the classrooms in all we do. Please enjoy the video showing some of our hard work outside of the classroom.
thank you so much for your time. We'd love to invite you to see our production of The Little Mermaid at 7 o'clock on Friday and 7 o'clock on Saturday with a $5 donation. Thank you.
Now I've got a C recognition for the Champion for Children Youth Award recipient. I'm going to call up John Verity for that.
Good evening. Just a real quick overview. Highlands County is a great place. I think if you've been here for any amount of time, you know that. We come together and we help each other out. Neighbors are typically there for neighbors. We see it in times of celebration, and throughout the years, unfortunately, we've seen it in times of tragedy. That's special, and I think sometimes if you've never been anyplace else, it might be easy to take that for granted. But the fact is, not every place is like Highlands County where people are there for their neighbor. That's not something that I think we should take as a given, because it doesn't exist always spontaneously. It has to be nurtured, and the way that we nurture that is to celebrate the good in the adults in the community, which we do through many different things, including the Judge Clifton M. Kelly Champion for Children Gala each year. But also, it is important to celebrate and nurture that next generation, so that way that spirit of community continues from generation to generation, and it remains a great place to grow up and raise a family. So this is our third year partnering between the school district and the Champion for Children Foundation, celebrating the Champion for Children Youth Award recipient. This year, it is Miguel Arceo from Sebring High School. Carissa Marine, the Chief Executive Officer of the Champion for Children Foundation, Children's Advocacy Center, is going to talk a little bit about Miguel, but real quickly, we're going to give him at the end. He's already received, and he brought to show just an absolutely beautiful crystal trophy, as well as we'll be presenting this certificate congratulating Miguel on his recognition. And then also something that we started, there is a sister to this plaque hanging in the Champion for Children Foundation office. It's a perpetual plaque that each year will have the name of that year's recipient added to it. It hangs in our lobby and it hangs in the foundation lobby. The engraver, phenomenal. It was like a 2-day turnaround, so thumbs up to that. It's already engraved and it's in our lobby, and we'll be letting Miguel take a look at that tonight as well. So a little bit about Miguel now. Carissa?
So thank you. We did have 23 nominations come in this year, and Miguel was selected. We had 7 that were honored at the Circle Theater in February as finalists, and that evening in February, Miguel was selected and announced as this year's Champion for Children Youth Award recipient. And this is why. Miguel is a senior at Sebring High School, where he excels in his academics, including IB program courses, advanced placement courses, and dual enrollment classes. He balances his academics along with being a student athlete and member of several clubs and organizations. Most notably, Miguel is the founder of the Highlands Scholarship Program. As founder, Miguel partners with local community leaders and business owners to conduct fundraisers specifically for college scholarships. Miguel came up with this idea after attending a scholarship ceremony for his older sibling and decided he wanted to do something to help his classmates. Community member Andrew Bible, president of Heartland National Bank, states, Miguel saw a need and opportunity to provide a service to the Sebring High School student body. While others may have just identified the need, the difference is that Miguel acted upon the need while utilizing his leadership and collaboration skills to produce a successful event. Miguel has raised over $10,000 for the Heartland Scholarship Fund, and he's having a fundraiser this Thursday at Don Jose's restaurant, so that is soon to grow this year. And he states, I choose to volunteer and help the community because it's the best way to shape the world around me. So Miguel, once again, your community wants to thank you for serving as a leader to your students, but also an example to us adults. So we encourage you, even as you graduate, please continue to follow your heart and lead and serve, and we're excited to see where he goes. So congratulations again to Miguel Arceo.
If we could get, also I want to say a huge thank you. We have Mrs. Shoup, who sits on our planning organization committee for this event, and Mrs. Blackman also. If you guys, could you mind joining us for a photo with Miguel, since you guys are part of the committee? Probably should have asked her that first before just throwing it out there in the middle. Yep, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any school board member committee reports? Okay, now it's time for presentation of petitions, comments, and concerns or report. And I have a list here.
The people in the back, we have 6 chairs up here. Don't be afraid if you want to come on down. We won't make you stay for the whole meeting if you don't want to.
Oh, well.
Apparently.
Okay, that's what I ask. Give me 1 second. All right, we're going to start with Larry Overfield. I'm sorry. Maybe this one. Okay. So Larry Overfield, sorry. You did 2 times in one day. Sorry.
Larry Overfield, CPT. I want to define a couple words tonight, okay? The first one is truth. Webster's 1828 dictionary defines it this way: truth, noun, conformity to fact or reality. Don't you change that.
She forgot to start it.
Conformity to fact or reality. Then Webster quotes 5 scriptures from the Bible. Well, I chose one that I'm going to quote, okay? In John 14:6, Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." The Greek defines truth as reality, the unveiled reality, the veritable essence of matter. Bryson's Dictionary of Troublesome Words states it this way: all facts are true. Things that are not true are not facts. Scratch a whole paragraph and you'll find out why later. HB 1557, which is now law, was identified as the Don't Say Gay bill. That word gay is not in this bill or in the version signed into law. This law is in regard to parents' rights and the responsibility of school boards to consider those rights. In the bill on page 1 are the phrases sexual orientation and gender identity. These phrases can only be defined by the words in them. Sexual is the first word in the former phrase and is defined as, in Webster's 1828 dictionary, pertaining to sex or the sexes, distinguishing the sex, denoting that it is particular to the distinction and office of male or female. The word orientation didn't come into use until 1839, so Webster couldn't define it. But my computer dictionary defines it this way: orientation, noun, an integrated set of attitudes and beliefs, a predisposition in favor of something. So sexual would be defined as what is true or fact, like male or female. Orientation, on the other hand, would be defined as what I perceive it to be. What is true for me may not be true for you. The words themselves cancel each other out. Webster's 1828 dictionary defines gender as a kind, sort, a sex, male or female. So gender would be a sex, male or female, that which is true. Excuse me if I mess up some of these words, okay? Identity in the 1828 dictionary is defined as sameness, as distinguished from similitude and diversity. We speak of the identity of goods found, the identity of persons, or of personal identity. So sexual identity would be male or female, not and or male, female. President Biden authorized a letter to be sent by the Assistant Attorney General to all state attorneys general on March 31st, 2022, stating that interfering with any or all gender-affirming procedures would be a violation of federal standards. President Biden also produced a video relating to this subject in which he quotes the Bible that these transgender persons were created in God's image. Please allow me to correctly refer to this verse. In Genesis 1:27, it says, God created man in his own image. In the image of man, God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. In any sane society, these procedures described in this letter should and would be considered child abuse. Kind of pertinent to this month, ain't it? A good friend of mine, Bob Schroeder, gave me a quote. First, we overlook evil. Then we permit evil. Then we legalize evil. Then we promote evil. Then we celebrate evil. Then we persecute those who still call it evil. In closing, let me quote one more person, Thomas Jefferson. Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look at that.
Okay. Amber Gwaltney.
Amber Boltney, parent. I added a couple things to my list. One of them is the former principal of, or assistant principal of Hillgustat had come and spoke one night and said that there was like 57 or so employee turnover at Hillgustat, which is extremely concerning. However, it has personally affected my child. She's had 4 different ELA teachers this year alone. She has to take the FSA writing tomorrow. She is not prepared. 4 separate teachers who have not been consistently teaching different things, they're not prepared. So not only is my child, who is a straight A student child, she does not feel prepared from her teachers. So I'm just concerned about that. I realize FSA is going away and we're doing something else in the fall, whatever. But the stress level that she has is crazy. And I've told her, it's one test, it's one day. I don't care if you make a 1, because I don't. But she cares. And the fact that she alone has had 4 different teachers this year and does not feel prepared to take the FSA, something's wrong. You know, something is really wrong there. The next thing is, I was just wondering if, and I probably should have emailed you guys, if anybody had any information on the bathroom issues at the high school. I realize you cannot answer my question right here, but you guys can email me or call me anytime. And my other thing is the progress prep. I did hear back about the child safety matters, which was great, but I haven't heard anything about progress prep. So if, I know we're gonna have a workshop on the IMAD, so if we could do something with the progress prep thing, and I realize that statute says we have to do social emotional, I don't know what the other, learning, SEL, but just which program do we use? You know, we don't have to use one that is completely wildly inappropriate. And that's it. Look, 2:47. I did good.
This is, at this point, this is just public comment, and the next one up. So, next up is Lee Alcorn.
We'll find out how long 5 minutes is. I'll try not to,
About as long as a song.
yeah. I can't sing this to you guys. I got a bunch of notes here. And I feel like, with the exception of Teach Town, thank you so much for bringing that. into the IND units. I have trouble following a script because I'd rather speak to you guys and to your heart. I'd like to talk to you about an offense that took place during an IMAD presentation in which I couldn't help but speak up as a parent, a grandparent, and as a teacher. Felt an obligation and responsibility to stand up for a student. One offense. I'm not talking about an offense where somebody doesn't like the way you're dressed, or the way you wear your hair, or your tone. I'm talking about an offense where people's hearts are broken. And I'll tell you why. I walked the halls of Avon Park Middle School. Kids are carrying burdens in their heart. And it doesn't take much to bring up one little thing that triggers, maybe in some of your minds and in their minds, a past with memories that haunt and bind them. They carry pain, and I see it. When the presentation started, I sat in several of them, and I took notes. I heard the guy make jokes about a weenus. It sounds like penis. Let's get over it. What we say here stays here. These are things I documented. I kept my mouth shut. This particular day, they start off the slide with not reproduction. There's no standard for this. They talked about recreational things that I wouldn't want anybody to have to sit through and listen to. I started forming a question based on the information I was hearing and the words they were using as they had an open forum and they asked the students, what do you want us to talk about? We'll talk about pretty much anything, and there was no limitation. It didn't seem like when they showed a slide about tea, and then the speaker jokingly says, nobody wants to wake up with tea being shoved down their throat. And I realized the person was way off script. And I had an obligation and responsibility when I looked down and I saw one offense. I'm sure there were many, but I saw one. My student sitting next to me said the school board should not be saying things like this. I wrote it down. I documented verbatim what he said. His face was red. One offense. You offended one. My story begs the question, who's responsible? Who's accountable? Why did this happen? Why did I have to stand? I formed a question using their words, and I said, Larry, at what point do you think the content that you're sharing is a non-consensual rape of our students' mind? I use words because that's what they were using. It was a public forum, and I said some of the content you're sharing is inappropriate. I was told later that these little roars that went through the crowd and the kids talking among themselves and the laughter and how uncontrolled it was. Heard someone mockingly say that you got everybody's attention, you offended some teachers. I wasn't concerned about the teachers I offended. I was concerned about that one offense, and I'm sure there were many. I told my administration, and I asked for a cease and desist. I even called Andrew. Kids' hearts are broken. They carry heavy weights. I'm concerned. I'm I'm concerned about how much damage has been done because something fell through the cracks and people didn't know the content. And I had to stand up. And I'll do it again. Many times over for these students. One offense, who's responsible? Who's accountable? How did this happen? Thank you for your time. My grandbabies are here tonight. I didn't know they were going to be here. Don't let them hear that. Please. Don't let them hear that. Let these advocates for these kids, these people that are studying and they're researching, there's better programs. Please, I'm asking you. Stop it.
Next is Jesse Sapp. I saw him earlier.
He's right there.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if he hurt himself.
He did.
Are you coming?
He's right there.
Jesse Sapp. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was on the microphone. Okay.
I just said, please let me meet.
I gotcha.
That guy right there that just got done speaking, to write him up for doing what he did for our kids is ridiculous. Anybody who stands up like that guy did and gets disciplined for it, anybody who thinks that guy didn't have our kids' best interests at heart, maybe he phrased it a little bit differently than some people would have, but he didn't say anything else. He didn't say anything other than what somebody in that room hadn't already said, and probably said way worse than what he said. Anybody, I hope he appeals whatever happened to him, whatever discipline he got, and I can promise you right now, I will go just as far as I can to make sure that anybody who opposes that does not hold an office in this building ever again.
Skylar Scott.
Hi, I'm Skylar Scott. I want to thank you all for your time. I know you've all spent time with me in the last couple weeks, and I appreciate your ear and your assistance. I'm not sure what one of the agenda items, it was kind of the curriculum item. I didn't know if it pertained to curriculum that we had talked about or a different curriculum, so that's why I wanted to bring this forward during the regular comments. I've learned that it looks like we may not be using IMAT in the future, and I'm very happy about that. I think that's a great decision. I appreciate Dr. Longshore and the board for coming to this conclusion. I appreciate your listening to our requests as parents. But I just want to also share that there are more concerns beyond just IMAD. I don't know if we're going to have the opportunity to do the workshop as planned. I'm hoping that we do have an opportunity to provide you with information and it would be helpful to have a workshop. One of the concerns is that our state standards, well, regardless of the state standards, IMAT is an example of comprehensive sex education. And there's different types of education that you can have. We want comprehensive health education, and we want sexual risk avoidance education. There's all these different acronyms with different letters. And if we do away with IMAT, and then we have a committee or some kind of rubric that we follow and check the boxes and make sure that some curriculum meets the criteria for the rubric and simply follow that format, we're going to possibly miss the fact that we don't want CSE. I mean, there may be components within a CSE curriculum that check the boxes, but it just has so much extra that we don't want. And I'm going to share this. It's hard on the ears, but all of our kids heard it. You know, our 7th and 8th graders, you know, there was a slide on sexual behaviors, and it explained vaginal intercourse, oral intercourse, mouth to genitals, anal intercourse, penis to anus sex. And it says, respect your partner's boundaries the way you want them to respect yours. And so the first thing that comes to mind when I hear that is that we're not emphasizing abstinence as the expectation for our young people. We all know that there are kids that are going to do things that we don't teach them, we tell them not to, and we can't control every child, but we should not set the bar so low that we communicate to the kids through our teaching that we expect you to just sleep around. This is the appropriate way to get consent, and just make sure that they're okay with the anal sex or the oral sex. Don't do something they don't feel comfortable with. It's the total wrong direction that we want to go. If we don't accomplish as a board, if you don't accomplish parameters that specify we want comprehensive health education and not comprehensive sex education, it's not going to matter that we don't have IMAD. It won't matter. So even if for this next year, while we got the eyes on the issue, you know, maybe the curriculum is more appropriate, even though it might not be comprehensive health education. You see how things get out of hand, and you see we don't want to have to micromanage teachers or facilitators. We want the curriculum to be solid. We really, and it's not the facilitator's fault. I've heard people say, oh, this was a facilitator taking liberties. I want to make this very clear. It was not just the facilitator taking liberties. The Heartland Rural Health Network was very strategic and intentional with the content of this curriculum. The facilitator was provided the curriculum and followed the curriculum given to him. And it's indoctrination. And so I don't want to be the witchy parent that's always talking at the school board meeting, but this is just, once I see this, I can't unsee it. And we cannot tolerate indoctrination in our schools. We have to take a stand against it. If you're going to allow this kind of indoctrination, then we should be able to teach Bible. Seriously, we should get to teach Bible. If they can teach anal and oral sex and ask our kids if they want to question their genders behind parents' back, then we should get to teach Bible. Which, by the way, that shouldn't be happening behind parents' back. None of these issues should be behind the parents' back. The curriculum should be posted on the home page of our website, which I don't think it is. We should all have access. So if you would please consider giving us the opportunity to go through the statutes. I brought statutes, didn't even get to talk about what I wanted to talk about. But if you'd give us the opportunity to address these specifics, that's my goal here, is to have that happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Bush. The bench.
The bench, is that what was
No, it depends on what we're doing.
Just handed in a form.
She forgot your honor.
Pardon me?
She forgot your honor.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Bush, parent, community member, all the things. No stranger to this, this podium or this room. I'd like to formally submit a letter to all of the school board members and the superintendent on behalf of several concerned parents and stakeholders, many of which are here and many of which were not able to make it but are watching on live stream. I'd like to read this letter and then we'll leave. Dated April 5th, 2022. Dear Brenda Longshore, Dr. Brenda Longshore, and Highlands County School Board members, a group of concerned parents and citizens wanted first and foremost to tell you thank you for making the decision to terminate your relationship with the IMAD program through the Heartland Rural Health Network. We are grateful for this positive and crucial decision. Dr. Longshore, Billy Brantley, Jill Compton, Isaac Durrance, Donna Howerton, and Jan Shoup. We want to express our gratitude to each of you for taking the time to listen to our concerns. You provided a place where we were treated with respect and sincere interest when we discussed and addressed our concerns with the Get Real curriculum facilitated through the IMAD program. Parents and community members, we truly have elected officials that want to hear from us. Moving forward, we would like to prevent a repeat of what has occurred over the past 6 years. The disconnect of the communication appears to be an issue that we must strive to correct. In sincerity, we would like to have an active and be actively involved in the process of selecting the next comprehensive health education curriculum used in our Highlands County middle schools. Our group has done an extensive amount of research of the state statutes and the requirements pertaining to this education. We would be remiss if we failed to express the significance of curriculum transparency moving forward. It would be tragic to remove one inappropriate curriculum only to have it replaced with another inappropriate curriculum. We sincerely desire to have an open and honest forum to discuss and digest the state statutes and to adhere to the state law and the Department of Education policy. We humbly request this opportunity to openly share what we have learned so that you and others will also hear what our concerns are. We want to ensure that nothing inappropriate or outside the scope of what is required finds its way back into our schools. We would like to see an environment between the district office and our elected officials where when complaints come forward from parents and teachers with concerns about their children's learning, that it is being, that it filters all the way to the top. This process would prevent board members and the superintendent from being blindsided by something like this again. This may currently be the procedure, but if it's the case that that is the procedure, there was a tragically huge failure. The amount of I didn't knows concerning the IMAD was sorely disappointing. This cannot be stated strongly enough. The school board must facilitate open communication from stakeholders, board members, and the district office. Being involved and aware of parents' concerns would help prevent the history from repeating itself, as well as holding all elected officials accountable for decisions made that deeply impact our community's children. We are a group of individuals that sincerely care about what is best for our children, as I assume we all are. That's a common goal. We want to ensure that their mental, physical, and emotional well-being and safety. We want to ensure their mental, physical, and emotional well-being and safety. We are sure that this is your greatest concern as well. Let's work together to create a healthy environment for our children to thrive. Let's set the bar high. Let's maintain a school system that focuses on reading, writing, math, and science. We wholeheartedly desire a focus on character, integrity, and healthy relationships. God bless you all in this very important role. Your decisions are very weighty ones, decisions that are truly and surely heavier than any of us can comprehend. We will be held all accountable for how we cared for and protected our children and served in the offices that we hold. We kindly and humbly submit this letter to you with open arms, ready to work alongside you. In the Highlands County, we are truly blessed. Let's keep making the tough decisions, but the right decisions for our Highlands County school. The undersigned have read and fully support the sharing of this letter to the Highlands County School Board and our superintendent, Dr. Brenda Longshore. The undersigned, that's a repeat, I think, but that was drafted in about an hour, so I'm sorry I fumbled through that, but that's our heart, guys. We appreciate you working with us. We appreciate the fast action, so.
Thank you. Next up, Gene Statler. Get around there, Mr. Statler.
Look good, Ed. It won't take me that long. My question is, nowhere on the agenda is the workshop mentioned. It is rumored that the superintendent is going to cancel it. I think we deserve a yes or no answer tonight.
You will get one. Sorry. I can answer that for you.
Okay. Secondly, I would like to suggest that whoever your tech people are, that you either get new mics or you learn to speak into them. Because out in the audience, 90% of what you say is not understandable. Thank you.
Especially for us Harley guys, we can't hear you.
Next up, Linda Maltabano. Sorry.
Nah.
Linda Montalbano. I'm a special education advocate. We have children in our district graduating with reading, writing, and math levels below, in elementary level, years below high school. Some of them get scholarships and they go on to college and they flunk out because their reading, writing, and math skills are so low. At the beginning of this school year, I asked for a classified student in the 8th grade to be evaluated. It took 5 months, and her reading, writing, and math skills were elementary level, and she's going on to the 9th grade. And you may wonder, how do children get a high school diploma with elementary level reading, writing, and math? Well, today we have programs like Bookshare. We have computers with Dragon programs on them. We're able to finagle our way, wheel and deal, to be able to graduate. I understand that myself, since I am a dyslexic, and I graduated in New York State, not with a Regents diploma because I failed at the English Regents 5 times, but with a real high school diploma. And it's not that you're not intelligent if you can't read, write, and do math well. It's you got disabilities. But our district does not provide, as most of the districts in the state of Florida, the reading, writing, and math programs to address these problems. What I'm asking for is that you consider bringing a program like Orton Gillingham, which is now on a computer chip, but can also be on the school website, and that we work with the children who can choose voluntarily to take reading, writing, and math programs over the summer for free, and have them set up at their choice at least to decide to bring up their reading, writing, and math skills. Because we need to start looking at education where right now we're more interested in sex education. And we're lucky we got a governor who said not under 3rd grade, which is disgusting that we should have to even talk about under 3rd grade doing sex education. We should be talking about what reading methodologies we're using to teach these children how to read. So I am asking that we're 2 months away from summer. Let us set up a program on our website, offer it to all the children in the district, and for the children with special needs, let's plan and extend their school year by having them do reading, writing, and math programs to bring up their grade levels. The student I was telling you about had no reading, writing, or math program specific to focus on bringing up the level of her reading, writing, and math. Instead, we do special ed services to supplement the general education classes they're taking. So the focus is on passing the 8th grade curriculum, while we're skipping over the fact that math was at 1st grade and reading was at 4th grade. You cannot bring up these reading, writing, and math levels unless you do specific programs and bring them backwards to where they were. That's why I also recommend Time for Learning, which is a program that I have all my children that I represent and assist start at kindergarten and work their way up. And that includes kids in high school. I make them start at the kindergarten level. These programs are not cheap. Well, Time for Learning costs about $150, $200 for a year if you sign up. Orton Gillingham, if you go for the computer chip, is $300 for the chip for one student. But you can buy that program where it will do over 500 children over the internet. And what I'm asking is let's put a program together and offer all the students in Highlands County that they can work on their reading, writing, and math skills during the summer. Thank you.
I believe it's Dr. McKinney. Do I have that right? Okay, thank you. You can come on up. Yeah.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you, board members, public, parents, love you guys. I'm Dr. Javita McKinney. You can call me Javita. I just wanted to give a gentle reminder, everything we've heard, we understand. We need to take it to heart. We're a community that works together. I'm very impressed with this place because I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I love how you all love each other and you stick up for your kids. So, we're getting the complaints. Let's get solutions. Linda gave some good options. I've gotten with Dr. Longshore before and Dr. Nia Campbell on a program also called Time to Teach. We'll definitely kick some of this stuff in the behind and get our kids where they need to be, graduating with what they're supposed to graduate with. The knowledge they need to go into life, be a formidable student. That's one of my favorite citizens. We want them to be formidable citizens. We want them to be able to lead and take care of their lives, be independent of you, as well as be able to work with you. So I do have a program that I can share again with Dr. Longshore or Dr. Campbell when the time allows. It's something that's been operating throughout the nation. It's not everywhere because, as Linda said, it's pricey. Some things and trainings that people have are pricey, but our children, are they worth it? Yes. Say yes. Yes. I'm sorry, guys. But listen, I'm serious about that. I came here, my husband retired here, and when I met the school system, I met Dr. Long, I met you people, I was like, you know, you all, the gentleman said it, you have a jewel here, you have a diamond, your community, people are envious of, okay? So keep moving forward. Don't let this setback taint you. It's not important. Don't we make mistakes? Let's move forward. I offer some solutions. I want to also volunteer on a committee where we can review the textbooks. Parents, get on board. If you're available, gentle reminder, get involved. Don't wait till something happens. They don't need that. They need you with them, right? We push the wagon together. So get involved with a committee for reviewing textbooks or things like that. For the library, there's things you can do even if you can volunteer 1 hour, right? And with technology, there's so much more we can do to help because we don't have to go to the school to look at the textbooks or whatever. We can just stay in touch with Dr. Longshore, stay in touch with the superintendents and your principals. Stay in touch, people. Don't let this gap happen anymore. I think we can overcome this. Okay, I should say you can overcome this because I'm a guest, but I feel like family to y'all now. Call me Javita. Godspeed.
I have 4 presenters that each one of them want to talk about the bariatric insurance or surgery plus. I wanted to give, I guess I'd call the names, but each one, you could do it now, but we do have that as an agenda item. So I wanted to ask if you wanted to wait till the agenda item and do public comments with that, or if you wanted to speak now or both. So Heidi White, Mary Josephine, I got that right? And then Amanda Monday, and then Lisa Signs. Do each of you want to speak, any of you want to speak now, or would you want to wait till it's on the agenda item? It doesn't matter to me, or both, it doesn't matter. So.
Doesn't matter.
Just do the agenda.
The agenda item, okay, we'll go with that, so, okay. All right. Last time we've taken a little break after these. Is that something that the board wants to do now, or can we keep going forward? It's up to you.
I'm okay right now.
Are we good?
They have
Okay.
been drinking coffee.
Not as much coffee today. Last time we were here was super early all day, so. Okay, the next thing we have on the item is the superintendent's report.
First of all, I just want to thank you for being here tonight and for the past several weeks. I would like to talk just a little bit about the sex education curriculum. Back a few weeks ago, I was able to meet with some of our community members and some parents about their concerns with the sex education curriculum. At that time, I committed to them that I would look into the situation and see if I couldn't dive in with some of their concerns. And so I've been working on that over the past several weeks. 6 years ago, I was in the curriculum department, and that is when we vetted the Get Real curriculum. At that time, we went through a very thorough vetting process. We pulled in community members, we pulled in parents, we pulled in school staff, and district leaders. We worked very closely with IMAD and adjusted some of that curriculum even at that point. So we went through a whole system of vetting that curriculum and then did, I'm gonna take a little longer than 5 minutes, you guys. Marlene, get me off the clock. But anyway, we went through that whole vetting system and then approached the board with that curriculum. At that time, that was 6 years ago. It was my understanding that from the curriculum that we vetted 6 years ago was still being taught in our classrooms. And it was actually until this past week that I discovered that there had been some changes and adjustments in the curriculum that we vetted 6 years ago. Once I discovered that, then I have reached out to IMAD and let them know that we would not be using their curriculum next year. I also made the decision, it's an annual contract, we don't have obligations there, so we will move forward with that. As someone came up and said, who's responsible? Ultimately, as the superintendent of schools, I'm responsible. And I'm very sorry that we have gotten to this place, but ultimately, as a superintendent of schools, I take full responsibility for this. Taking a look at moving forward, how do we push forward? Someone said we've got to get moving forward. I do believe that absolutely has to happen. And so what I would like to do is develop a committee that will look at textbooks, a sex ed curriculum committee. It would involve 15 individuals from all of our stakeholders. From that, I would like to have 8 educators, 4 parents of public school kids, and 3 community members to come together and look at the curriculum. I think Dr. Campbell is ready to have that go up online on Friday for the application process, and also out to papers. Is that correct, Dr. Campbell, for the actual curriculum? Am I right? Yes. Okay. So that will go out on Friday. The applications can be filled out online. They'll come to me, and I will choose the committee, making sure and ensuring that we have representations from all the stakeholder groups. This committee also will be tasked with doing a review of purpose prep for the high school. I know that question came up. So we will be taking a look at that. But for our middle schools, we will go out for brand new curriculum. And having the opportunity to have all stakeholders come together, just as we did 6 years ago, I think will again provide us a good platform to move forward. Once a couple of the curriculum choices has been decided by this committee, then those will go out to the public for 20 days for our public to review the 2 different curriculum decisions. Once the public information has been received by this committee, then they will make a final decision of the curriculum that the curriculum department then will present to the board moving forward for next year. I think that is all of my notes on that topic. I guess from the board, the only other thing that I would be looking for from you guys, I know there was some mention about continuing with our workshop. The intention for the workshop for Monday was to look at the statute and to also look at the IMAD curriculum. We won't be using the IMAD curriculum. We can certainly look at the statute, but that was the purpose for that workshop. I did hear some interest tonight on, we want to be able to present some different research that we have found. It does seem as that wouldn't be an appropriate time when this committee gets together to even be able to share with this particular committee. But if we want to do it at large, we might be able to set that up at another time. Or if you I don't know, as far as the curriculum purpose for this Monday night was really to look at statute and then to look at the IMAD curriculum. It wasn't set up to be looking at all of the different curriculum. That wasn't the purpose for the workshop this Monday. But I'm at the pleasure of the board on however you want to direct me to move forward.
If you would go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say a few. First of all, I'm angry. I'm angry that this happened. I'm angry they went off course with what was approved, and we need to make changes. We have to have oversight. We have to do that. I'm angry about it. I mean, and I believe we do need to have this a workshop, and we need to do and allow the community to talk about it, and we need to hear the feedback from them. Absolutely. I don't know exactly what the workshop's going to look like. We can talk about that, but we need to have that workshop. People made plans for that. People have adjusted for that. We've sent out, y'all have sent out stuff for that, and we need to have something that night, and we need to talk about part of what happened, how we're going to make it not happen, and we need to talk about what the standards are, and that I'm angry about it, and this should not have happened, and that's my opinion. So,
What would you like the topic of the workshop to be?
well, we need to start with the standards. We already have that done, right? So we need to talk about what
We're
needs to
ready.
happen.
We're certainly prepared to
Okay.
review the standards. That's how it was.
Okay. And what other things would you like to see
Well,
about?
you want to say something first?
No, my suggestion was just do a straw poll. If they want a workshop, we do a workshop.
Right.
If
People
they
make
think we'll
plans
cover
to be
another
there.
committee, then we'll cover another committee, but I'm fine either way.
I'm fine either way, too.
That's how I feel also. I'm at the pleasure of what y'all would like to do.
Straw hands up if you want to have a workshop.
We need the workshop. I mean,
We're
people
doing a
make plans
workshop
to be
then.
there.
We got
so we're
the
gonna do it.
workshop. I
All
say,
right.
so the purpose of the workshop then, let's talk about that.
That's what because I'll be honest with you, I went into Dr. Longshore until just as a single board member, I could not support IMAD. But I really didn't know what we were going to accomplish out of a workshop. What I wanted was some options, in which I've met with quite a few of you. And what I want to say, and I kind of just real quickly, and I've been looking at the statute, and tonight I look at it again, and I see throughout it talks about comprehensive health education. The only word that ever is says sexual abstinence. So what I want to, I really think, from what I've heard, that everybody that spoke to me wants us to lean in an avenue of looking at options for comprehensive health education. So I think that's what the workshop is going to detail, is getting us there. And if we can go ahead and tell you, Dr. Longshore, that's where we want to be, then you can form your committee and we can go from there.
But that's not what the workshop has been advertised. It's only been advertised for.
Well, that's why I say, we would
That's why I'm
just,
saying.
we would
The
just say.
standards and
We'd
give
have to
some
go with
feedback
what
from the
it's-
community.
We would not,
But the feedback for the community is not going to be on the standards.
yeah. So that's why they're going to read the Sunshine Standard is what it's been talked about. And then
Dr. Campbell, I think, is prepared for the workshop, so why don't Dr. Campbell, can you come up and just let us know what you have got prepared at this point? We certainly want to hear from the community.
Well, I want to
but
hear
as
from
far-
too.
But
I
as
want
far as the
also-
workshop itself and the
Yes.
purpose of the
Yes.
workshop.
So the direction that I took from our last meeting was because I remember talking about the length and time in which it would take to actually bring you curriculum. I'm in contact with the state to have our reach further than our county as far as what's out there, and how we would have to form that committee and have review. So what we kind of pared down to was the workshop was specifically going to be, and I want to clarify, comprehensive health. We had not talked about sex ed at all. Looking at required instruction for comprehensive health education, what we have to teach with respect to acquired immune deficiency syndrome, and also to abstinence, because the statute actually does say that, as the default for our students, and the parts about it having to be age appropriate, those types of things. So that part of the presentation has already been shared, so we would go through that essentially page by page. The next part of that workshop was to discuss your review of the IMAD curriculum, because I know that you had an opportunity to pick it up, take it home, go through it page by page. So those were the two specific items, and then obviously with that would have came the opportunity for public comment. But that was my direction from you for our workshop.
So that's what I'm saying, folks. What are we going to accomplish?
Yeah.
Well, I agree. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you but
But we also have to stick with what was
we want
advertised.
to see what,
Yeah. I mean, by statute.
and that's the direction we would like to go, is the comprehensive health education.
Yes.
But from what I just heard, that's the direction that was given, was a comprehensive health
Yes,
education.
that's the direction you gave me as far as what is the required instruction and what does the statute say we have to teach? Not the extra, specifically, what do we have to teach? So I do have that again, slide by slide, we can go through that, statute, comprehensive health education. Focusing mostly on middle school, but the slides do talk about K through 12. And then again, after that, the next part of it was the review of the IMAD. So I just don't know, I mean, we won't do that
Just presenting the
part.
standards
Yeah.
in a workshop format where the community can see it and then we're all educated, more educated over it. I think that's
Happy to do it.
reasonable.
I'm just saying,
I don't disagree, I'm just taking direction.
And then once the committee's formed, they're gonna do the same thing. So
Absolutely.
in this meeting, can we give the committee direction of how we want?
well, we won't have a committee yet, will we?
So we wouldn't have.
So the committee, yeah, so do the guidelines for the committee before they get together. So they bring back and they don't go off on tangents, I guess.
So specifically, the thought,
But we don't have
when Dr.
committee.
Longshore
That's why I
had
say
discussion
form a
about the committee, we wouldn't have the committee selected
That's what I'm
by
saying.
the
By
11th.
that time.
And absolutely, the focus of the committee, once we norm, would be to create a rubric specific to those key levers within the statute. So that would be something the committee, whether we go do it at a workshop or not, this is the same for English, math. We as a team will look at the standards. So that will happen whether we workshop it or not, specifically with the committee. So that would be what would be the rubric to give us the lens of now when we were going through these curriculums that are submitted to us, do they meet what is expected to be taught? There'll be conversation about the lack of straying away from what standards should be taught. So it'll happen both. I just want to assure the board that whoever those committee members are, they're going to get that same in-depth itemization of what the statute says.
So pretty much, we can have a workshop next week. It'll be redundant what the committee does once it's formed as far as that goes. But if the group wants to have a workshop and then let the committee do the same thing, if that's what y'all want, then sure. Or,
Come on up.
yeah.
I'm Skylar Scott, not an expert in all these processes, but what I've also been told is that some of the rubrics that are being used by the committees are outdated, and like, I was told, and I can't verify this, but I was told that one of the rubrics that we use for the sex education or health comprehensive, whatever we were using, rubric was devised by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So I think we just need to kind of scrutinize the process, like what rubric do we use, where did it come from, what are the parameters for the committee? Because it can just easily, you think you're following, like, oh, we checked all the boxes, we did everything right. So I think what we want to make sure is that the parameters for the committee are established and that the rubric is probably more of a state-generated rubric. It's not got any kind of organization pushing it one way or, that it's a Florida rubric.
Dr. Campbell, you want to speak to that just a little bit?
Okay, so with regard to the rubric, because this isn't core, the state does not create one for us. So the intention is to create a rubric specific, ripping out that statute language and dropping it into. So for example, when part of the statute speaks to educating about acquired immune deficiency syndrome, that is ripped from the standard. That would be a part of the rubric. Check, does this curriculum cover that? So each part that I already have kind of highlighted within the presentation will be dropped into the rubric, and it is directly taken from the Department of Education and statute.
Well, and maybe by having the workshop, if you're thinking about wanting to be on the committee, this may sway you one way or the other. I mean, I don't know any other advantage, really, because everything will be covered.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. How will this committee be formed?
Once
She
they
just
do
went
the
over
online
that.
application, all of those applicants will come to me, and then I will choose those, that committee based on all stakeholder groups being represented. So we'll have 8 educators, 4 parents of public school students, and 3 community members.
That's probably very similar how the other committees that you have been working with are also formed, correctly? With the
They-
athletic task force and
Yes,
community
ma'am.
and
Yes,
and
ma'am.
everything else, yeah. So it's no different than the way the other committees have been formed.
Not yet, no, not yet.
She has her hand
Not
up.
yet.
I just wanted to. Ms. Montalbano, you come up real quick? Sorry. Ms. Montalbano.
Linda Montalbano. I believe what's important about having the workshop is not just to know what the standards are, but what our community wants. Because even though there are standards and requirements that we must teach, there's also what does the community want? So we should also be part of developing the parameters of what we as a community, because what we want here in Highlands County might be different than what they want in Orlando or Tampa, which are bigger cities. So I think it's important that part of this workshop is for people to come in and express what their feelings are that their children should be having, and then we're able to look at fitting it into the standards.
And you don't feel the committee would do that?
Yeah, that's what the
No,
committee
I
would
believe
do.
the committee would do it, but the workshop and the expressions of everybody who's there would help the committee to develop the standards of what you're going to do. I mean, I'm an older parent here, but, I mean, in 6th grade, in my town where we were, all mommies and girls got to meet in the evening with the nurse and everybody, and they told us about where babies came from, you know, in 6th grade. But then it didn't get to 10th grade when you took biology. Did you learn all the other stuff? And so what I'm saying is that was the standard 50 years ago. But I'm just saying that what is our standard and what our community wants, we should have everybody here being able to voice and see if we can fit it within the standards and do it in a timetable that our community feels and wants.
Thank you.
So just for clarification, because I don't want our community to be disappointed when they come to the workshop and not really get to the end results of what you're hoping to achieve. In a workshop, Dr. Campbell will go through the standards, and then at that point, I guess we will open it up for public comment. And the way that our workshops are designed is every person would have 2 minutes to comment.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. 3 minutes, sorry. 3 minutes to comment. We change these numbers around all the time. 3 minutes to comment. I'm not sure that you're going to accomplish what your intentions are in just a 3-minute comment. I mean, I just don't want you to be disappointed as a community.
No, 3
Well,
minutes.
with the
So,
workshop, it has to be advertised, and we have to follow what's on it. We had requested this workshop previously before we made the change for IMAD. So this is the position we're in where we have to only do what we've advertised that we have on this workshop.
And we really can't take any action ourselves.
And we can't take any action at all either. But the education and people have made plans to be there, I mean, have something.
And I just want to add that for the committee's work, it is going to be pertinent that we stay very close to those standards, because right now in representation, what we have might have one opinion, but at that workshop, if we allow maybe a different opinion to impact what is taught, we could end up, I heard this as a comment, how do we make sure we're not here again? We make sure we're not here again by staying very tight to what the standard and required instruction tells us to teach. So I just.
Those standards and requirements.
Please don't speak out from the crowd.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that, like, I have the right direction from Dr. Longshore and the board, that, like, we have been charged to make sure that we are tight to that. And so when I hear, what does the community want? We want to hear that, but we also have to know that there are portions of the community that might feel like certain things that aren't in that statute are appropriate. And to my understanding, that's not the direction that we want to go, rightfully so, I understand that.
Well, and I think also know that it can go both ways.
Yes,
I mean, that's what yes, I thought that's what, yeah, it can go both ways, so.
The statutes aren't something we can change.
No,
That's a
exactly.
state thing, so, yeah.
So my understanding, obviously, as a parent and in talking to all of y'all, there's certain things we have to teach. What we don't have to teach should be taught by the parents at that point. So our standards are going to be what's on the statute. We're going to teach what's on the statute. If it's not on the statute, that's up to the parents. Is that what I'm kind of getting? So,
That's what we want.
all right, we just completed that workshop, because that's what we're going to tell you. We got to do what we're required to do, but we're not going to do anything else that is open to ad lib or anything along those lines. That will be left to the parents at their discretion. Because what kills me, age appropriate. What in the world does
how
that
do you
mean?
define
There
that?
there are so many, there are kids that are age appropriate in sixth grade that aren't age appropriate in eighth grade because of their home surroundings.
I think we would be remiss if we don't acknowledge the breakdown in the communication. I think that's where my focus is. There were complaints coming for 6 years solid. Now, did they land on Dr. Longshore's desk? I don't know. Did they land on anyone else's desk? I don't know. Have we created such a toxic community at our school levels that they're scared, like I've got Alcorn back there, scared to stand up or speak up because of repercussions? You've got a man back there that did the right thing, and now he's reprimanded for it. And so this type of culture, we've got to break down. And so I feel like if we hear from the community on some of their stories, I think it will be the gut punch that motivates us to ensure that we facilitate open channels of communication, that you guys put an ear on the ground in the schools, connect with, make yourself available, hold each one of you accountable, talk to Dr. Longshore. Longshore, you talk to your board members. We have got to, there's a broken communication from the school levels, from the administrators, to the school board members, and to the district office. I am not a new person here. And over, I have seen the disconnect in the communication. And I don't know, you guys are approachable people. I don't understand, except for I was once in the seat where I didn't know what to do. So I would go to the teacher, and they'd go to the administrator, and then the administrator said, well, then you got to go to this district office. Well, then I'd talk to the district office, and then somebody under Dr. Longshore would drop the ball, and then nothing would ever happen. And then it's the reciprocation of the same problem. So what we have to identify is hearing the stories and then questioning, how did that story not get to me? How did that story drop? Because those stories, just like Alcorn said, those stories should be our gut punch. This should have, it's a distressing, troubling situation that we're in, that this went on for 6 years. And I'm going to tell you, board members, go and look at who actually opted out. It was the teachers' kids, because they knew, but they were so scared to share. Why is that? Why was it just the majority of teachers' kids opting out of that? I knew because I had heard about Grant Carlson's issue 6 years ago, 7 years ago. His mama didn't know. He came home talking about all these alternative things. We've got to bridge the gap. We have to bridge the gap. And I don't know, I would beg each one of you, you get paid to do this. Please go visit your campuses. Please talk to teachers. Please put an ear on the ground and make yourself approachable. Put yourself out there and don't wait for them to come to you. Because most parents don't know the process. We're not educated and informed on what we don't even know what the policy, we're like, okay, we get 3 minutes at the workshop, this one's changed to this one, I've printed out Florida statutes. I feel like I'm trying to be a teacher. I'm just trying to be a mom. And it's frustrating for parents because we don't know the protocols. And then at the last meeting, you did mention that you're gonna waive, and he, waive all of the policies for this workshop. Like, let's go back and watch it. You're shaking your head, but there was.
I didn't say we're going to waive all the policies.
Wait, but
Right, and so what I'm saying is I appreciated the insinuation that you were gonna remove all the hindrances and the barriers for stakeholders and parents and teachers to share, to give you the feedback. And so that's what I'm asking. We've got to build the bridge, and the connection has to be made that we're able to give you the information and you guys can respond with it.
Well, and I appreciate what you're saying, and I will tell you, and I wouldn't be surprised that the rest of the board feels the same way. As long as I'm on this board, and as long as I can physically get into the schools, I will be at the sex education.
Thank you.
Because, I
Never
mean,
again.
yeah.
Never again will that happen.
No, because when I went through that program and I brought the book back, and I was like going, oh my gosh. And so I appreciate what you're saying. But I don't, that we cannot talk about that at that workshop. The only thing we can talk about is what has been advertised.
I understand.
I mean,
Thank you
that's
for acknowledging.
statute, so I just want to let you
I
know that's
think
not us.
It will help give you an impact that these stories go back for years.
We realize that now, I mean, and I
Sure.
wish that someone
And
would
so
have.
what we've got to move forward with is the conviction to never let it happen again.
Yes.
And if you hear groanings or grumblings, listen in, lean in, don't just dismiss it. Because if I'm a mom and I'm hearing grumblings, how does it not get to you guys? I don't understand. And now I've learned, okay, I don't call the district office anymore. I call the school board members, because guess what, guys? They are our elected officials. They are the parents. If you look up the Florida policy, it is those guys over Dr. Longshore. Dr. Longshore is secretary to the board. That was shocking to me to discover. So they are our elected officials. They represent us. That's something that is substantial information that we need to know. I look at it as those guys are the parents, and Dr. Longshore is the big sister. Okay? That's the way I look at it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Lauren, I feel that this board has heard y'all.
Yes.
And we are acting tonight,
And we
and we
acted
are
quickly.
moving forward. Quickly.
With the
So,
workshop.
no,
I don't know what purpose it's going to
know what the
hold, but if
purpose
y'all
is.
want to
Because
have
you're
it.
still going to hear the parents.
No, you still want to just keep,
But it's not going to change. We're going to do
You
what we have
dropped
to.
INAB, but you're failing to
right.
recognize.
No, hold on.
No, we're not.
We got to get back on.
No, we're not.
Yeah,
We're listening.
We are
We
listening.
are. Purpose here.
If you don't have that workshop, it's going to be bad. It's not going to be a good result.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Summer Sodrell. I will have 4 students in our public school system, all the way from pre-K to senior. And I wanted to make a comment. I will actually just found out today that I will not be at our April 11th workshop if it happens. But on the outlook of the rest of the community, now knowing that there is only going to be 15 people on the committee that will be selected by Ms. Longshore, I think that because she can personally pick the people that she wants to have on this committee to choose the curriculum for the sexual education, I think a lot of parents still want to put their 2 cents in. I know there's been a lot of ladies and gentlemen that have been walking through the community and going to churches and going to organizations and trying to look at options to bring to the workshop. So I know there's a lot of work on the ground, and being advertised in the newspaper, I think a lot of people are planning on and made plans to be there. And I wonder what the community is going to think when we completely cancel the actual workshop. So that was just something, even though I'm not going to be able to make it that night, as a whole, and just as a quick comment.
Let me speak to the committee just one more time, just to make sure everyone understands. We'll have that 15-member committee. They will vet all of the curriculum. They will make a choice of 2 that they would recommend, and then it will be open for the public to come and look at all of that curriculum. They will take that feedback. So it's not just the 15-member committee that will be making that decision for the board. It will be open for the public for a 20-day period for them to come in as well and review once they have narrowed it down to 2, and then they'll make a final recommendation to the board. So it will be more broad spread than just the 15 members.
Okay. So, oh, okay.
Okay.
One more, and then we gotta take a restroom break, I think, among the group here, so.
Oh, I'll make
Not
this
me,
go as
but-
long as I can then.
Okay.
Timer.
Larry Overfield, CPT. First of all, Dr. Longshore, I want to thank you for doing this, that you canceled IMAD, because them people have been pulling the wool over our eyes for a while. And not just them, but the other organizations that are involved with them. Second of all, if we do have this workshop, my understanding is it's going to be on the standards, and the standards can be found online on the Department of Education website, correct? Did I say that right? Okay. So if you plan on being there, review them standards so that you can talk about what it is that we're going to talk about, because they've already advertised this, so we got to stay, if we do have this, we got to stay with what's been advertised, okay? Second of all, I'm going to get into one of my favorite things, is that tonight was brought up the idea, I think Skylar brought it up, about, well, if we're going to teach this, then we can teach the Bible in school. Well, yeah, we can teach the Bible in school, because there's no law, nowhere, that says the Bible can't be taught in school. 1963, the Supreme Court come up with an opinion, that it's their opinion that the Bible should not be read in school because children might read it and obey it. Imagine that. That's the only thing that's on the books about Bible in school, okay? And another opinion, but guess what? I got too emotional. It went right out of my head. So we're going to cut it short.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I do want to, I know these people want to thank you because of what you announced tonight, saved them a whole paragraph in my presentation.
Yeah, I think we're gonna call a restroom break, right? Or you wanna continue? Just finish your thing.
I-
Restroom break.
I'm fine.
She had a
but-
question.
She had one more question, okay.
No, I just, I don't know, and so, how do I, is there ever an opportunity for us to ask you questions where you actually have to answer us?
Not,
Pretty much every
what is
day
that
of our life.
called?
yeah.
I feel questions every day.
I mean, is that, we have to like email you? I don't know, I'm legitimately asking, because I have no idea. When I came here the last time and was told that you guys couldn't answer questions, I was like, well, then why are we here?
Under the public comment.
Like, is there a way to do that? Like,
Call us.
there's a lot of people here,
When
you
you-
know?
Feel free to call or email us.
Yeah. We'll
So
answer.
just, that's it?
And what's going to happen, you're going to say something, we're going to say something, you're going to go back and forth, we're going to go back, then it's a debate, we debate with 15 different people, the meeting's going to be at 12 o'clock, which
No, I
I'm
know
willing to
that
stay
I'm
here.
not here, but like, is there, like you say, not.
Usually,
in
as far as,
committee meetings, not in school
when
meetings, then
you
when?
you
Or
discuss
you're
something
all
like that,
together?
we can, if you ask the superintendent to get back with you, because a lot of times the questions can't be answered right off the cuff. You have to do research and find out, so if you ask and say, hey, we'd like to get in, and I'd like someone to get back with you, someone will get back with you as far as that goes, once we have a chance to research the topic.
But if you have a question for us, ask us. I mean, email or call us. Marlene has our numbers.
Available 24/7, pretty much.
Take that down.
I sleep a few hours,
Sorry.
sleep a few
Yeah,
hours
yeah,
a
she
night,
had
and then outside of
so, I
that,
mean-
I'm there.
Yeah.
So just for clarification, how are we moving forward from Monday, and what do you want me to be prepared?
We gotta
to
have
cover?
this. We gotta
I mean,
have
yeah,
it.
but we're-
I want to be there.
yeah.
Or
no
would you
matter
rather
what.
reschedule it and put other things on that agenda versus just, all we're gonna be able to do is read this to you? And then that's really gonna be it and cover it, because that's what's advertised. If we bump it back, we advertise this and direction for the committee, direction, and be able to talk to things that you wanna talk about, or just have the meeting go over this and
Yeah.
however you wanna do it.
It may be more productive.
Yeah.
I think if we move forward with
Bill was saying, but, I mean, if you want to meet on Monday, I
Prepared to be
certainly will be there. I mean, and I think we all feel that way.
I just think if we go forward on Monday, it will be disappointing because it's going to be just on the standards.
Yeah.
And I think that the community wants more than just the standards. So,
And that's all we
You're
can
good
talk
with
about.
us waiting? Thank you.
Yeah.
And what else do you want on there other than just the standards? What else do you wanna discuss?
I don't
at
want the
that?
community angry at us if we don't have this thing Monday. That's the thing. I mean, they're gonna be.
But
it's
if
not
they
our
show up
fault,
and this
you
is all
know?
we can talk about, they're gonna be angry.
Yeah.
Let's get on the agenda what you want to talk about, and then we can discuss everything between not just this, but the other things and direction, and, obviously, we have to abide by the standards as far as provided to us. What's that? The rubric's gonna be based on this to make sure we hit all the bullet points. So the rubric is the bullet point of the statute.
Nicole Radomski, is there a way that the committee could be formed? The committee can come up with a rubric, then we can have a workshop so that the public knows the rubric. You all are presented with the rubric, the public knows that you have the rubric, you have seen it, so that I know it's a committee, but as a community, everybody is aware of, what are the guidelines, what are the standards? Yes, we know that we see the standards, but, as an educator, you can look at the standards and understand them much better than a parent that doesn't look at state statute and understand standards. So is that a
100%.
possibility?
We absolutely could do
I
that.
think that'd be far more productive
I did too.
myself.
That'd take longer
Yes.
than the 11.
what do you
That's
think?
okay. Well, I'm speaking for myself, but
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll
No?
say that's okay.
So we should have the committee intact by May 1st, and so we'll put that out on Friday for the online application. Once those applications are received, then I will choose the committee, and then once the committee is formed, then we can have a workshop to give an update from the committee and the rubric and all of that work.
This may just would be a public comment thing, but if we have suggestions for a couple of CHE curriculums that have worked in other states, we could at least make the committee aware of it that night.
Well, actually, all of that curriculum, do you want to speak, Dr. Campbell? There's a process for you to be able to submit the curriculum
Oh,
for
that's good to know.
for that committee to
Okay.
review. That's exactly, yes, if you'll speak to that.
So yes, Dr. Longshore, you did mention that. So on Friday, the intent is to have on our district website the form for application to be a part of the committee. In addition, on Friday, I've already gotten with Mrs. Welburn, we have a statement that will go out in our newspaper, essentially asking for vendors for comprehensive health curriculum to submit what they have to the Office of Curriculum, so that when we receive that and these committees are formed, we're gonna compile all of that, and that is what we're gonna go through. So if, in fact, you do know of a vendor that you want to be considered, the formal process will be listed in a publication. And also on our website.
And I just would suggest to Dr. Longshore, which I mentioned, if we do not go through with the workshop April 11th, of course, we would put something on Facebook, newspaper, and because we can do the overall call to all parents, that message would go out there also. I think we would cover,
I'd rather say postpone versus cancel.
We're not canceling.
that's fine.
Yeah, this one would be.
But a new workshop will be
Postpone it, we gotta-
rescheduled.
Oh, it's gonna be different topics
Yeah.
versus
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that's
workshop
true,
will
thank
be
you.
Yeah,
And make sure we explain
Semantics.
all of that, anything we put out.
I know.
We've got to move on a little bit. You have a little bit more superintendent report to do, and then we'll take
I
a
do
quick
have just a
break.
few more.
Mrs. Welborn.
Okay.
Cancel the workshop scheduled for
The 11th.
April 11th.
Have we been here that long?
April 11th. I'm going to cancel the workshop. I'm going to send it to the paper, which will print on Friday. And then I'll also post it on our website. In addition, I will also post it on our door and in our lobby.
But we're going to wait till the committee's been formed, like,
Yes.
I'm saying, I'm just doing the cancellation.
Okay,
So I'm just making sure, so that's.
And
what I will
another
do.
one will be rescheduled.
And then once another one is rescheduled, we'll just use the right verbiage to make sure we are.
there too. Yes, ma'am.
And I'll ask for that in a board meeting, and I'll do a call out to all of our families.
Thank you.
Okay, just a few more things. Mr. Leesburg, do you want to give us a quick overview? We had some damage. Last night's storm certainly impacted a lot of our families and staff and schools and buses and those types of things. And
Bet it
so
did. I didn't think
if you'll
about
give
that.
us a little update on some of the damages.
Good evening, Tim Leesburg, Director of Safety and Security. With last night's storms, Avon Park Middle School gymnasium saw 57 windows broken. Emergency lights on the south end of the building 5 were damaged. The fire alarm horns were damaged on the exterior of the building, some of them. The automatic gate on campus was damaged. They're missing exhaust fan covers on buildings. And then severe roof stop air conditioner damage at their campus. Memorial Elementary School saw their plant pots out front. The decorative ones were broken by the hailstorm. Sun and Lake Elementary School, their two most southern portables saw broken windows. Portable 13 had the main water supply line busted. Vinyl siding was damaged on a lot of the portables out there. Automatic gate was non-functioning this morning. And then Avon Park High School had broken windows on the south end of that, building 9. And then finally the guard shack entry arm was broken off in the storm.
Wow.
And then Transportation Department in Avon Park, the compound there, several of the buses had broken side windows and windshields and dents from the hailstorm.
That was unreal.
That's crazy.
I know, it was really rough.
Smashed out 4 of my windows at the back of my house.
Did it really?
No, there,
wow.
a video.
Luckily, no
Really-
injuries, my understanding, no
That's my
injuries.
understanding. Thank you, Mr. Leesburg, I appreciate that. We did get some really great news yesterday. I heard from Sid Valentine from South Florida State College. They have received a grant that they will be awarded $2.8 million, and from that, they will keep $800,000, and our district will receive $667,000, really to help 5 areas. It's very specific around nursing, EMT, elementary ed, the police academy, or police and paramedic. So once we get those funds, Dr. Campbell and her team, they will have that spent lickety-split and some opportunities for some kids for sure. I would like to request permission to pull item 7A, consider approval of Carnegie Learning's professional learning services, number 2 and number 3 proposals. There will also be an executive session tonight following tonight's meeting. I would like to request an executive session following the April 19th board meeting as well. And that completes my announcements. Thank you,
Okay,
Mr. Jones.
so is 10 minutes reasonable for a little break, or are we going to go forward? 5-minute break.
Yeah.
So we will come back according to this clock at 7:20. I will hit the gavel.
Okay. I figured that's what you did. But it
Is everybody close? Dr. Longshore, I think we're just about ready to start back up. Yeah, she's got her, did her report, so
We don't need her anymore,
it's
do we?
good. Okay, so I call the meeting back in order, if I didn't call it out of order yet, but anyways, but we're gonna go to number 9, motion to approve consent agenda items as presented for action.
No,
Oh,
adopt
sorry,
the
I'm off.
agenda.
I'm so sorry. Adopt the agenda as revised. I'm so sorry. I'm gotta get back
I'll make
on
a
track
motion.
Second.
here. Okay, a motion from Mrs. Shoup, a second from Mrs. Howerton. Public discussion? Back to the board for discussion. Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Sorry. Number 9, motion to approve consent agenda items as presented for action.
Move approval.
We have a motion from Ms. Howerton, a second from Mr. Brantley. Public discussion?
Oh, wait a minute, though, that's,
I'm sorry?
okay, no, go ahead, you're fine.
We're just on 9 and we got 10 to go. So.
I gotta put my glasses back on.
Okay, I had to put mine on too, so.
Oh, yeah.
Any public discussion? Back to the board for discussion. Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Compton Twist?
Yes.
Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 10A, consider approval of the superintendent's recommendation for personnel.
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, a motion from Ms. Shoup, a second from Ms. Compton Twist. Any public discussion? Back to the board for discussion. Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 10B, consider approval of expulsions.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Howerton, a second from Mr. Brantley, and then no public comment usually on expulsions, so back to the board for discussion.
No.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 10C, consider approval of insurance committee surgery plus recommendation.
Can we hear from the people that want to speak before we make a motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Mr. Lethbridge,
Yeah,
and then we
Mr.
can hear the
Lethbridge,
comment.
and then the cards,
There's
the
no-
petition.
I think we have to make a motion.
No, we
Motion for
don't.
Don't have
I've
to.
discussed that with Mr. McClure. We
No,
did
we
not
don't
have to.
We talked about that before.
Let's go through this, okay? So Mr. McClure went back to Robert's Rules of Order
Yes.
and carefully reviewed those. The Robert's Rules of Order basically state if a proposition is to be discussed by the board, there needs to be a motion and a second. A failure to receive a second indicates that the board does not wish to discuss the matter, okay? But to even discuss the matter and bring it for the board's consideration, there really should be a motion and a second. And if I told you otherwise, I retract that and I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if you want to bring a motion for purposes of discussion only, nothing wrong with that. Okay, you can state that. Doesn't mean you support the proposition. Simply means that you want to bring it up for discussion and you get somebody to agree with you and second to that, for discussion purposes. That's fine. You hear that a lot. So that doesn't mean you support it, you for it or against it. It just means that it's coming before the board, so.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion.
I'll second.
Wait. A motion for discussion only.
It's nice to have a second, right?
Well, you bring it up, you're making a motion to approve the matter, and you're doing it for the purposes of discussion, okay? There will have to be a vote, though. If it's not discussion only, at some point, there would be a vote. But your point is, you move to approve, and that's really for discussion at this point.
I'm going to get the FFA kids here, I can tell.
Hey.
They are always national champions. I wish I had
you
done
would.
that when I was in elementary
We need
school
an
or middle.
FFA person
No,
there
I'm
every
going to
night.
pull my
Every meeting.
motion. Somebody else can do it. Yeah, I'll check with Jerry Lee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, Ms. Compton Twist.
The motion is for approval of the insurance committee surgery plus recommendation, so it's the one you'd like to speak about.
No, we have not made any vote
We have not
yet.
made a decision.
We
We're
have just
bringing
voted.
it up so that we can discuss it. Mr. Lethbridge,
So Ms. Compton Twist, did I have a second for that one?
Brantley.
Brantley, okay. Okay, at this point, I've got a motion for Ms. Compton Twist, a second for Mr. Brantley, and now I'm going to have Mr. Lethbridge speak first, and then we're going to have public discussion. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're good, okay.
All right, I'm going to give the Cliff Notes as short as I can, but if you have questions specifically, just please feel free to ask. As far as the recommendation from the Insurance Committee, it is to end through surgery plus bariatric type surgeries. As far as the history as to why the committee ended up getting there. About 3 years ago when we started with Surgery Plus, and we've really used them extensively the last 2 years, at that point the decision to have bariatric would have been made. When our consultant was going over all of our insurance papers and all of our plan, and we've switched already from Cigna to Blue Cross during this time period, there was belief that we were covered if anyone had complications. That is not true. If someone has complications currently right now through our major medical plan, they would not be covered for bariatric type surgeries because bariatric services are not covered underneath our major medical plan. So the consultant's recommendation is one of two things that we needed to do. She felt that we were in no man's land as far as, one, we were offering bariatric services through Surgery Plus. That was almost like we were endorsing this. And if someone had a complication, then they couldn't have resolution through our major medical plan because of that. That we either, one, needed to adjust our plan to go ahead and add that to our major medical plan if someone had complications, that they would be covered, or to not have it on Surgery Plus anymore. So that was the question. So there was lots of discussion through the committee as far as, all right, the things that the committee ends up looking for truly is for the longevity of our health insurance, how can we provide the best health insurance plan for the majority of people? And that's really something that we can sustain. Ultimately, I think that the committee would love to give everyone free drugs, free medications, free every surgery, free everything. The committee would love to just carte blanche say, this is what we support. But they do know that it's unrealistic and that we are on limited budgets and limited funds. So much of that do drive committee decisions. So ultimately, they ended up landing on, and it was a unanimous vote, that we were going to move forward with not supporting, or at least bringing a recommendation to the board as far as not having bariatric surgery through Surgery Plus. In the meantime, it was several weeks later, I had a meeting with Surgery Plus. And I ended up pulling in a few other key members from insurance, and they had a presentation. He's like, before you make your decision, I want you to consider this. And they went over a lot of information, some of which saying, I think you've already gone through the major rush. As far as people wanting this surgery, I think that it will die down, that you're not going to have quite as many. And we have invested considerably, a couple $1 million into this. A couple million or 1 million? 1 million, sorry, let me be accurate. 1 million already over a couple of years. It was already right around $1 million that we've invested in this. And then he really shared different, where he felt like ultimately if you allow people to have these surgeries, that that's cost savings as well. And he had a very persuasive presentation. And as I ended up meeting with Tammy, I was like, I don't, even though the committee has already weighed on this, I want them to hear this presentation. So we went back to the committee and we had Surgery Plus end up going through this presentation and sharing all the information with them again. And there was a lot of discussion, a lot of different discussion on do we have a cost share with employees? Do we end up limiting how many, where you might have to wait X amount of years prior to having this specific surgery, because it's very specific surgery. There have been concerns brought forth as far as different people as they're onboarding are already asking about that specific surgery, and then even concerns about people getting the surgery, which is expensive surgery, then leaving the school board. So there's many different things that were discussed. Ultimately, after all of that was said and done, we ended up going back to a vote, and once again, it was unanimous to end up ending, or at least it was unanimous to bring it to the board for a recommendation that we end offering bariatric surgery through Surgery Plus. It's really, I would say, several different things ended up probably really push the discussion that way. One is the fear of future complications. This type of surgery can have complications in the future, sometimes long in the future. And the committee was concerned as far as the liability that they were tying the school board in with that. Now, the other argument would be, okay, if people don't have the surgeries, there can be complications as well and adverse reactions. So there was a lot of discussion. There was a lot of healthy debate on both sides, but this is where the committee ended up landing. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to have this conversation here. We brought it before, then we backed off for a workshop. And then we've had different reasons, for a couple different meetings why it had to be pulled from the agenda. And I know we have other people that want to speak, to this as well, but any questions at this point?
I have one question. How are the complications, like an next complication handled now, or how are they covered now? You're saying that often complications are not covered under major medical. How would they be covered now?
Currently, if it was labeled as a complication from a bariatric surgery, it's my understanding that the claim would be denied, so the individual would be responsible for it.
Okay.
Did I say that accurate, Tammy? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait till you finish.
I would say, as explained to me, the complications for other surgeries are at a much reduced rate compared to this.
And when is that statistical data from?
There was data that was shared with me. I don't have it in front of me, but there was data that was shared. I will say that
Okay.
I would say that
We're going to get public comment, just 1 second.
Okay. I would say that the difference is those other surgeries are covered underneath the major medical. Bariatric is not.
And I know we can't give names, but how long ago was our first surgery to this, as to this? Okay, and how many complications have we had? None? So. And I know you can't give a name.
So officially, there have been no complications from the surgery. There may have been rumor of somebody having something major, but like you said, we can't give names, and if I speak to what the major is, obviously, I think everybody would know the name. But
Is it me?
it is not you. But
Okay,
there's
that's-
nothing official saying
that's
that
fine.
it is a
That's-
complication of the surgery.
I just wanted to
I mean, there is
yeah.
rumor that what happened is a complication, but there's no official.
There's no official. It's sad, but we are in a Sioux world, and anybody can have surgery, and, have we had other surgeries that we've been sued over and had complications from?
We haven't been sued over any,
Not for this type, for other surgeries.
not that I know of.
Okay,
not-
okay, all right, that's why, I'm just trying to figure out why we've gotten here.
I would say that there is one suit from a former bariatric surgery back when we used to offer it. Complication came forward and it did not go to a lawsuit, but it did cost the district a couple $100,000 to resolve.
To fix the problem or to shut them up?
To address the situation.
Let's just, I think the board has some more questions, I believe, at this point.
But they're no longer questions. When it's public comment, you can come up and speak at that time. What, if you remind us as far as how many is on this committee and what is the makeup?
So the makeup of the committee is teachers and non-instructional from the union. So we have 2 from non-instructional, 3 teachers, and then 5 administrators comprise the committee. So the union ends up picking the teachers and the non-instructional reps, and then admin, I end up picking the admin reps.
Thank you.
Any other board questions?
I guess I may have after the presenters.
Okay, so you want me to call off in order here? So I'll make sure I get the 4 at least, and then we can have more, of course. But we'll start with Heidi White.
members on the insurance committee doesn't even use our insurance. Just gonna throw that out there. So I've had bariatric surgery without school board insurance. Years ago, I went to the insurance committee.
I know you don't like the mic, but we can't hear you unless you use the mic.
Pleaded with them to have bariatric insurance added so that I could have it because I couldn't afford it. It was too much money. And I don't get paid very much as a Highlands County teacher. The pay sucks. So does the insurance. It just does, if you compare it to anybody else in Highlands County. So I had no choice but to find a different avenue. Because the school board would not cover it, I went to another country to have bariatric surgery. After I scrimped, saved, worked 5 jobs for 2 years, 5, to get enough money, sold the only piece of property that I owned so that I had enough money to go to another country, have the surgery that saved my life, literally saved my life. And I can guarantee you that if I didn't have the surgery, it would be a whole heck of a lot more for you guys to have me as a school board employee right now than it would have been to pay for the bariatric surgery. I had a complication. The school board insurance had to pay for that complication from the surgery. I had a foreign object left in me from the foreign country surgery and had it here, had it removed. So it has happened. I've had the issue, and y'all have had to pay for it. Probably wouldn't have happened had I been here, because in the United States, you guys have different protocol in hospitals to make sure stuff like what happened to me didn't happen. But I had no other option. I was out of options. I did what I was supposed to do. I went to the insurance company. I begged for them to have this surgery, and it didn't happen. I did everything I could to lose the weight on my own. And I lost over 100 pounds on my own. But it took a long time, and that was it. I was at my limit. I couldn't do anything else on my own, physically, mentally, or health-wise. It would have been unhealthy for me to go on and try to do something else to lose more weight at that point. And I have 3 surgeons who will attest to that. That's not something that I came up with. I can guarantee y'all can look at my insurance history. Y'all know where I've been, who I've been to, okay? This is something that I fought for a really long time, and I'm still fighting, but I'm winning. It would not have happened without bariatric surgery. And I can tell you that I am very fortunate that I was able to do what I had to do to get this surgery. I don't have little kids anymore. My kids were older when I was able to do it. They were able to get jobs for their little things that they wanted to do, and they wanted me to have this surgery. So that all played well with me. I don't have little kids, my kids are grown. For you guys to take this away, I hope you would never sleep another night in your entire life. And I'm not kidding, and I don't say that easily. You are literally taking away somebody's life if they need this surgery. For you to take that away from them because of something that might happen in the future is just not okay in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, I feel like you're targeting this. This should be covered with our regular insurance. This shouldn't be a surgery plus matter. They should cover it because it's something that is a necessity. I think if you found out how many people have had this surgery in our county, in our district, you would know that. It's not something that you look at lightly. Believe me, your whole life has to change after this surgery. There are cases where people go backwards, but you know what? There are people that have other kinds of surgeries, and they have to go backwards as well. If they have heart surgery, or they have lung surgery, or they have kidney surgery, they continue to drink, or they continue to smoke, whatever. That's a given. That's just human nature. But for you to not even have this option available for your employees, I think would be a huge disservice to us. I obviously have had the surgery. I've had the secondary DS surgery. there are no other surgeries for me to have, so I won't be having bariatric surgery anymore. But I know I was 684 pounds in a wheelchair, and it changed my life completely. I'm still in a wheelchair because I still need 2 knee surgeries, but hopefully Surgery Plus will pay for that. I'm serious when I tell you the things that you guys do. What's it called? The health thingamajigger that y'all do now? No. Where they help you with getting healthy.
Wellness health?
The
yeah,
wellness, yeah, the
programs.
wellness committee. Maybe you guys can look at doing something where, okay, you want bariatric surgery, we need to make sure that this is gonna work, you're doing everything, then add another component to it, but don't take it away. I don't think that anybody that wants to have this surgery would have an issue with saying, okay, let's be a part of this. Let's look at, the research. What can we do? What can we do to make sure that it's a success? What can we do? Now, I'm gonna tell you, if something screws up in the surgery table, that's not us, that's the surgeon. There ain't nothing we can do about that. But as far as like the long-term things like that, I don't see that as an issue. I know that y'all have to look at the money, I do, but I think you really need to start looking at your employees and what we need, and this, your employees need. It's a necessity. And I think that the district has, with us using it as much as we have, you can see that. If he says what's accurate about them going less or whatever, then great, that's less money for y'all. But I would really hate to see that the school board or whoever's in charge of saying yes or no, if y'all said, let's get rid of it, I don't think that would be the right decision.
Okay.
I really, really don't.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Mary Josephine, do I have that right? I'm so sorry. I think I had this last time. I gotta look at that.
My name's Mary Josephic, and I am a local nurse practitioner, and I don't have a dog in this fight. But I do see a lot of Highlands County School Board employees, some that are morbidly obese, some that are obese, and some that are normal health. I am a member of the Obesity Society. I have my doctorate in healthcare as a nurse practitioner, and I do primary care medicine here locally. I just want to give you a little bit of information to think about. I gave a packet to each one of you with some statistical data on comorbidities and obesity. I hope you had that chance to look at it. Obesity is a global pandemic right now. It's affecting 2.2 billion adults worldwide, with more than a third of those adults being in the United States. As a result of fast food, lack of exercise, learned overeating, the pandemic is continuing to grow. And that's just with adults right now that we're talking those numbers. The numbers of comorbidities caused by obesity has skyrocketed. Diabetes has tripled in the past decade. Heart disease is currently on the rise. Hyperlipidemia, which means fat in the blood, essentially, is the primary cause of heart disease on the rise. Inflammatory disease and NASH, or liver disease, is also increased. These are all killers. This is what takes our lives, all resulting from adult obesity. Unfortunately, weight loss is a disease. Obesity is a disease, and it is cyclic. People that suffer from obesity gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight, because it's cyclic. People that suffer from obesity have not only a physical disorder, they have a mental disorder. It is an addiction. It cannot be fixed with a quick pill or a quick diet. The keto diet works for a while, the grapefruit diet works for a while, but everybody falls off the wagon. So you end up with problem after problem after problem. If you look around you, you'll see 90% of the population that you deal with currently is obese. If you look at your school board employees, look at your bus drivers, look at your teachers. Not very many of them fall in the under 25 BMI range, which is a normal BMI. Having bariatric surgery is just a tool in a toolbox. It is no different than having a hip replacement. It's no different than having a cardiac cath done. It's something to help you alter your lifestyle, to make it more livable, to make it a better day for you, to give you a longer lease on life. Bariatric surgery today is done laparoscopically. The newest data coming out from 2021 and 2022 show that there are no greater risk in doing bariatric surgery than having a tonsillectomy, an appendectomy, or a hip replacement. There are greater risks in having your gallbladder out than there are in having bariatric surgery. That data can be found on any legitimate medical resource. I just want to be clear that obesity is a disease. It carries an ICD-10 code. It is billable as a disease. Diagnosis, it is treatable as a disease. The number one problem with obese patients these days, the reason they don't seek help, is called obesity discrimination. Not allowing these people to get the treatment they need can be considered obesity discrimination. And I challenge you to look at your insurance committee. I want you to find out how many people on that committee are obese. I don't think you'll find too many. I also think that you need to look at risk versus benefit. If you look at the packets I gave you, how much has your district saved in comorbidities? How many dollars have you saved on high-end diabetic medicine since you started doing these surgeries? Because I can tell you, I put in prior authorizations constantly for your insurance committee, for your diabetics, because they can't do it on oral medicine. They need to have those high-end diabetic medicines before we put them on insulin. And those medicines are $400 or $500 a month that your insurance company is paying. Getting rid of that weight will get them off that medicine. You're paying one way or the other, guys. Whether you're extending their life short-term until they have a big event, or whether you're helping them get healthy, one way or the other, you're paying for this. The better chance would be to help them get healthy and promote a healthy lifestyle, which is what we all should be looking for. I tell people in my office every day, I suffer from obesity. And you may all look at me and say, you're crazy. I had surgery 4 years ago. I weighed 270 pounds. I could not control my eating. You can ask Mrs. Shoup. I exercise like an idiot. I'm a vegetarian.
We're good friends.
I eat healthy. I promote it to my patients. I encourage them to do what's best for them. And I'm an advocate for bariatric surgery if it's appropriate for the patient. There is a whole process for bariatric surgery. It includes seeing a medical doctor, having a psychological evaluation, seeing a nutritionist, having lab work done, following your program. They reteach you how to eat. They teach you how to think about food and teach you how to eat to live instead of live to eat. My whole life has been changed in 4 years. I encourage you to reconsider this decision. I encourage you to think about it for the wealth and health of your employees, and consider adding a medical person to your insurance committee instead of just the people you have on it, because you have no person that has medical knowledge. You just have educated workers that work for the school board. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda, Monday?
You need to set a timer.
Yeah, we need
You set a
to set a
timer.
time. We're going, can we do a 5 minutes?
That was 8.
Do 5 minutes on this one? Yeah. Because it's basically public comment is what we had before, so Amanda.
Okay. Amanda Monday, local teacher. They covered a lot of what was going to come out of my mouth, so I'm going to share a little bit of my story and my success. When it comes to weight loss, I actually would not have been considered at 242 pounds. There is a limit as far as your BMI for consideration. However, I struggle with diabetes and high blood pressure. It's generational. And with that being said, it was out of control. I've tried multiple diets, medications that were dangerous. They weren't good for me. Did it work temporarily? Yes. I gained it all back. I was just at a loss. At 34 years old now, my health was out of control. I would stress eat. I couldn't sleep. My self-esteem was definitely at an all-time low. I didn't do the surgery for the weight loss. I did it obviously for my health, to live longer, to take care of my family. The weight loss was just a plus that came with it. As a result, with everything, I no longer are taking any medications. My knees feel better. I had a major knee surgery last year. I feel completely different. I haven't had pain. My self-esteem, it's the best it's ever been in my entire life. I probably wouldn't be up here speaking right now if I didn't feel that way. I only had this surgery 3 months ago, and so far I've lost 52 pounds. And I just wanted to share that with you. I've heard of many other success stories from other employees that, went through bariatrics. And, I'm just asking you, please, before you make that decision, consider keeping bariatrics with Surgery Plus. It's life-saving. We have some examples in here. It's life-saving. And, we already have a teacher staff shortage, and sometimes, a lot of times, it could be for health. And we want to make sure, we don't want to lose anyone else because of health reasons that are, out of their control and can be fixed or helped by bariatrics. Because again, it truly is life-saving. So please consider.
Thank you. Lisa Signs.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Science. I'm a teacher here in Highlands County. And pretty much echoing what has already been said, I just kind of want to give you my little brief experience with bariatric surgery. I'm going to pretend you're all teenagers because I could talk to a room full of, an auditorium full of teenagers.
We are at heart.
Somebody did say, well, men really are, and I can attest to that with my husband. Really are teenagers. But. I just want to, before I go into personal details, I don't have a dog in this fight either because I've already had my surgery. I just felt very much led to share with you my experience in the hopes that maybe you'll reconsider going with what the insurance committee has suggested for those that my colleagues that are planning or considering having it for themselves. So just a little bit of background about me. Both of my parents were morbidly obese. My childhood, everything centered around food. That was everything. and it's been a really hard habit to break. When I was 16, during the summer of my senior year, before my senior year, my father had a heart attack and died. He was 41. The fact that my father was so overweight definitely contributed to his early demise. Shortly after my father's death, my mother developed diabetes, and she struggled with her weight her entire life. And she passed away at 56, which is going to be my age in September. So losing both of my parents before I was 38 was devastating, to say the least. Especially knowing that their deaths were avoidable. It makes it a hard fact to deal with. Neither one of my parents got to experience my children growing up to wonderful adults. They missed many milestones like college graduations, family celebrations, my oldest getting married and having 2 beautiful sons. They missed out on a lot, and no doubt weight was the #1 factor. I would have struggled myself with obesity as a child had I not been so active in sports. But once school finished, so did sports, and my weight began to climb. It's something I've struggled with for over 30 years. I made the decision to have the surgery after seeing colleagues enjoy their success. And I too, as Heidi, 5 years ago in July, went to Mexico and had the surgery because our insurance did not cover it. But because of my size, it really wasn't enough. I plateaued at a point, even though I was eating right, exercising, I still could not lose any more. And I still qualified for another type of bariatric surgery, which I had in July of 2020. So if you combine the 2 surgeries, I've lost over 200 pounds. I have about 30 pounds to go before I hit my goal, which I haven't been at since before I got pregnant with my last child, who will be 25 in April, this month on the 25th. The surgery has enabled me to do things that I couldn't even imagine doing when I was at my highest weight. I remember being at Sebring High School, teaching there, and one of my biggest fears was, as I would walk to my room, was that if I fell, how would I get up? It's something that most people who don't have a weight problem never even consider until maybe you get to a certain age. But that was something that was always in my mind. Getting up and off the floor to play with my grandsons, that was not possible until now. Now I can. And I don't have to ask for help to get up. Walking just into a store, into a mall with my husband, who used to be a ref for soccer, so he's used to moving quickly. It was very difficult. And he'd often have to stop and wait for me, and I'd have to catch my breath, and I'd be embarrassed, and he would say, "It's okay, honey, it's okay, honey." But now, he has to keep up with me. We went to a Lightning game. I only have 41 seconds. We went to a Lightning game Saturday night, and I got the cheap seats. And we were all the way, literally, at the top of that arena and had to walk up lots and lots of stairs. I didn't even think, is there an elevator? It didn't even cross my mind. I just did the stairs. Where 2 years ago, that wouldn't have been an option. I would have been like, where's the elevator? They have to have one, right? I mean, you have to. And when we got down, he's like, look, I was walking to the car, and he was behind me. I'm like, he's like, look at you. So it's really, I implore you to consider other alternatives. Maybe we have to ask for some assistance. Right, Mrs. Wilborn, I get the hint. Maybe the employees have to put some skin in the game. Maybe they have to have a certain BMI. There's, maybe some thoughts, have to come. But just to say, forget it, we're done, I'm telling you, it's life-changing. Not only for me, for a lot of employees here. And there you go. Thank you.
Thank you. So I had a question, Ms. McClure. So we have a motion and a second for discussion. Is that correct? So we would also need.
Actually, the motion made by.
Okay, making sure that
was
where
not
we
for
were.
discussion.
It's been a while,
As I understood
so-
it. I think you just gave a straight motion.
Yes.
He seconded for discussion. So if you want to seek a second for approval, then that would be appropriate.
Second approval for board discussion, or how? Or we
Well,
discuss it
second,
now before we?
But you have a motion and a second, then the board discusses it. You, by saying for discussion only, you're basically saying, look, I'm not saying this out of support for it, but I want the board to talk about it, okay? So, your motion, well, I'm sorry, I didn't make these rules.
No,
up
you're
either.
fine. I'm
No,
gonna,
I
I'm
wanna
gonna put
make
a
sure I'm
monkey
following
wrench in
your
it, so I
thought
want you to
process
get.
still, okay?
I'm just saying,
I'm just following Robert's rules.
that's right.
So
That's it.
I made the motion for approval and got a second so that we could discuss it.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
I'm going to make an amendment to the motion that I would like to continue having it, but the employees put a half of the cost into it.
But the motion is to
I can make an
end
amendment,
it, isn't it?
Well, you have.
but it has to be seconded.
Yep. Well,
That's my amendment.
As far as,
even assuming it was seconded, okay? She can move to amend the motion, and it has to receive a second. Then you vote on the motion as amended first, and if that passes, then you go back to the motion.
Since you amended it, can we talk again?
No.
Wait. Hold on. Wait. I want to make sure I'm where we are, because Ms. Howerton pulled her motion first, right? So that's what I have here, and then Ms.
She
Compton
did.
Twist was the motion.
Ms. Compton Twist motion.
Right.
Yes, that's where I'm-
Second by
I
Mr.
second for discussion, which I think we ought to discuss before we keep going, to see what see what the other thing.
So let's just,
And
Well,
Okay, well, we
We
can
have
do
not
that.
received a second yet to Ms. Howerton's
Yeah.
amendment.
well, everybody's been
So-
talking. Yours was to have the employee pay half of the cost of the surgery. I don't have a problem with that. I just think they need some, like you said, skin in the game. I'm in favor of people getting it, just not us paying the entire amount. I just have a problem with that, because it's not, in my mind, it's an elective surgery. I know what y'all have said. But it's not a heart procedure. It's not, it's not, you broke your arm, you have to get it fixed. But as long as there's some skin in the game for the employee, and I almost would like to see them also have to work for the school board for so long, and then, and I don't know how you could do this, and maybe you can't because people move and different things, but have to stay a certain amount of time after, too, where it's not just, I'm going to go work for the school board so I can have the surgery, and then I quit. And that has been discussion.
No, I just totally don't want to take this away from the employees. So I figured this, and I did have somebody that had this surgery, and they actually recommended that to me, It's like when you go, we have programs that you can go get a house for nothing, but you don't have that equity in it. This way, the employee would have equity into this procedure, and I feel, we have seen some that have had it, I'll be honest with you, that, they've not done the proper things they should have done. So I just want to instill them some of their cost in it.
what is the average cost of a
So let's
bid?
talk about
16,000.
procedurally.
okay, where are we procedurally?
Procedurally, if we receive a second to Ms. Howerton's motion, it can be part of the discussion, and then.
I thought Jan was second.
Yeah, I was going to do that, and I started
Hadn't
talking,
yet,
I got
no.
sidetracked.
Oh,
He
sorry.
hasn't done it yet.
I second Donna's amendment.
Okay.
Ms. Howerton's amendment.
Or discussion, I think.
Yes, for discussion, yes.
And I agree what you're talking about as far as, but what is the average cost? Wasn't it like 28,000?
15 to 20. It's surgery plus.
15 to 20,000,
It's more if it's not surgery plus.
right.
In the country.
Yeah.
That's not funny. It's not.
Well,
Because
it's,
I'm pretty sure y'all make pretty good salary as board members.
that was not meant to be funny at that. That was, I'm not even going to go there.
And what I was thinking as
You're
far
not,
as.
you're not understanding that we were not laughing.
I agree as far as they need to work for the school board for some period of time. I don't want someone coming on and go, hey, I want it, and then leaving. I think a minimum as far as 2 years before they can get the surgery, and I want to stay at minimum 2 years after. But I'm thinking more 25%. That's $5,000 at a,
How do you put that stipulation on if somebody has, like, what if
They-
the spouse relocates and they have to
that's
go
part
with
of,
them?
that's part of their moving cost then.
I'll make that a my amendment.
Wait a minute, we're not yet, no.
I mean, the stipulations.
What you're saying, 2 years before you can have the surgery, and then you pay 25%, and then you'd have to remain on for 2 years.
And if not,
So-
they pay back the 100% of the surgery.
100 or the half, 25?
Three quarters. It's three-quarter.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
If they're paying 25%, we're paying 75%, I think they need to stay
So-
for at least 2 years of employment.
Just, okay.
That's
Well,
where
I'm-
we're
Then we
at.
open
But
up
I'd be up-
discussion, right?
Do have a lot of knowledge about insurance. I mean,
I guess when I said the
office
half, I
dealing
didn't
and
know,
so
but I
forth.
liked his 5,000 actually.
Just say, it's easy to enforce the waiting
It's gone up
period.
from what I heard it was.
Easy to enforce the waiting period of 2 years. It's not easy to enforce the
After.
period
I
after
agree.
because anything can happen.
Anything can happen,
We
but
don't
if you
mean
decide to
1 or 2
move,
years, we
that's
don't know,
part,
you know?
that's part of your moving cost. If
Well,
you
even if
decide,
they-
to-
even
I do
if they
believe they
left.
should
and it's
be
not
able to-
10 years, it's 2.
You're not gonna
They
be able
didn't
to
have to
recruit.
They
chase
should be able to
them.
move here and just have.
So I'm for the waiting period before, but then the waiting period after period of being with us, that's gonna be hard. Just gonna be hard.
Well, so what you're saying is, you're getting 2 years, but you still gotta pay half, and that's it. You're done then.
Oh, I didn't say that. I just said that it's hard to recoup it afterwards. That's what I'm saying.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. I haven't got the I didn't say anything about percentage.
Okay,
Oh, no.
well, right now, we have, goodness gracious, this is crazy. You know,
We still
We
only
could
have
do-
the one motion and one
I
amendment.
know, that's right, that's exactly
It's a
right.
discussion.
So if you wanted to have a waiting period there too, you know, you might vote down the motion as amended part and then re-amend the motion with the 2-year waiting period.
And I don't know why, and it's just the pleasure of the board if they want to, but Tammy Mortensen would like to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have 2 minutes. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I work in the insurance department, and I'm on the committee, but I'm not a voting member. And there are many different options that can be had if you do not approve the recommendation of the committee.
Thank you.
It can go back to the committee, and they can make other recommendations. Maybe send it to co-insurance deductible, put in waiting periods, put in guidelines. But if you send it back to the committee, not approved, and have them instead
Yeah.
come up with other options.
So the idea
Just
is
my thought.
we do
I think
not
that's
like
very
this
good.
Thank you for
option.
sharing that.
And then we take it back and bring it back at another time. Is that what you're probably recommending at this point? But
All right, well, right
Okay, so
now,
where are
we
we
still
now?
have a motion as amended that we need to vote on. And then we're going to go back to the original motion and vote on that. And part of the original motion vote might be to send it back.
Still only the two.
But as far as that goes, if we withdraw everything, will it automatically go back?
can we withdraw all our motions?
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So, okay. So all 4 of y'all have a motion of some sort or a second.
If we withdraw them all, there's no motion, there's no second, and it goes back to committee.
Who's on second?
Oh, where are those high school kids anyway? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So quick-
they're in
so-
bed.
Party pros. So if they all withdraw their motions
Yes.
It
and then
tables.
not take action,
We'll
It
send her back
dies.
to the insurance
But
committee.
go back to the insurance.
They can share with the insurance committee where we were at.
So withdraw them.
Well, I'll withdraw my second to Ms. Howerton's motion.
And you got a first.
I'm waiting for Ms.
No,
Right, we
Hamilton.
gotta
Go
withdraw.
backwards.
I withdraw mine for discussion.
I will withdraw mine as well.
I don't have any
Thank you.
motions.
The notes, it'll say, well, withdrawn.
So we have
Thank you,
no
Marlene.
motions and it dies.
But we would
No,
like,
the chair,
No.
the chair recommend, there was no action taken.
Oh,
so
okay, no
that's
action
not-
are taken.
So we're just refer it back to the
Refer it back to
committee
the
for
insurance
further-
committee for further recommendations, and we'll bring it up at a later time.
Mr. Lethbridge and Ms. Mortensen.
Well, and on that note, I would like to also see what would be the difference if it's covered through Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I think we kind of talked about that. If they have a stiffer protocol, so to speak, to get there.
Well, is there any more discussion, do we need to discuss this anymore for today, or should we bring it up for another agenda item later?
It's going to have to come
Or
back before us, so.
what would be the
Yeah.
board's pleasure?
No, I know,
Well,
but they
I'm just
will
saying,
eventually come back to us.
My thing, I don't need to know it now, but I think if we could have that option too, where it's not, I mean, it's not completely covered, and that way they have what they have to pay, and, I mean, I don't know if that would work or not, but,
But if you know the information, you're welcome to tell us now.
So as far as the information on Blue Cross Blue Shield, I know that through the information that we got through the consultant, there's around $40,000 to $50,000 per procedure.
so it's a lot more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Many other steps in place, such as mandatory 6 months of counseling and working with the dietitian beforehand, work that you're agreeing to work with the dietitian 6 months after. So there was different protocols that would have been in place, that some of which could be adopted as far as that we tie it in as well.
That's what I'd like to see.
I have a question.
Right, I think that's what he just was saying, yes.
Sure.
So let's.
I have a question, if I may, sir. If you go to our permanent insurance, whatever you call it, can you place the condition on that as well, that the person would have to pay half of it? Or is that going to be
5,000.
So as far as Surgery Plus.
up to whatever it is?
Could
Yeah.
we put a cost sharing
Right?
for Surgery Plus?
For
Yes.
bariatric?
Yes,
only?
we can.
Okay, thank you.
I think it would become more difficult to have that for Blue Cross Blue Shield, especially with our
Okay.
our deductible is around 5,800.
Yeah.
So if someone's like, well, if I go through your program, I'm paying 5,000, or if I can choose anything, if it's covered through Blue Cross, I can pay 5,800 and do whatever I want. So I would end up arguing that I think our best bet financially is still sticking with Surgery Plus.
Right.
As far as just hearing the difference in
And
the
not,
dollar
and
amounts.
not having a complications coverage with our regular insurance.
Well, I believe we're gonna have to cover a complication, because that's really where we ended up landing as far as the consultant. She's like, currently, right now, if somebody has a complication and it's coded that way. Now, if somebody has a complication and the doctor doesn't code it tied to bariatric surgery, then it probably, there's different scenarios that it would get paid. But if it is coded properly, and if it was a complication through bariatric, it should not be covered through our plan currently. That's a huge, huge gap to me, as far as that we're leaving employees with a huge liability out there, where they either, one, don't realize that, or two, that they could be in, let's say that it was a $50,000 issue that they had and that no major medical was covering it. Now, all of a sudden, they've got a $50,000 medical bill that they've got to cover.
I can tell you how most people cover that. They have full disclosure form that you draft and develop, which we could do as well.
That's what I
That-
asked him to
that
check
says
with
just
you on.
that.
I had asked him to check with you on that to see if we could do something
I
like that.
heard it, but yeah.
And then the question, as I was talking with other insurance, reliability insurance, they were not feeling such disclosure would
It may not, but it's something.
would cover us. So,
I don't know.
but something to look at.
Okay.
It's elective surgery.
So we'll come forward back with a
So at this point, we're going back to
recommendation.
the insurance recommendation. We do not approve what has been recommended tonight, and no action tonight. No, I'm sorry, we don't not approve, but no action, and we're going to keep on rolling.
How do we come in and talk to the insurance committee before y'all get together again?
I would say you could definitely call. All the insurance meetings are published, all are noticed, all the members are noticed. And so
I was
you can-
told I couldn't come if I wasn't a member.
Yes, and I didn't say that you could come. Or you can go ahead and email, or, I would say email with you in first class, all of them being members, would be the easiest way to end up.
So there's no way to come in and speak on me? Is that
There's
what
no
I'm-
questions.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe y'all can get together after the meeting. Sorry. 13A, public hearing, report on development and consider approval to advertise the revision of the managerial position, manager of construction and building inspection facilities job description for adoption.
Okay, this is tonight's development section. I'll confirm first that that has been published in the paper.
Yes,
Okay. There you go, Madam Secretary. This is the job description where you might recall you're eliminating the requirement to be licensed. That would be kind of in training, and the CDL license too. So that having been said, open for public comment. Oh, we need a motion second.
motion.
Sorry.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
approve 13A.
Second?
A motion from Ms. Shute, a second from Mr. Brantley. Public discussion? The manager of construction and building inspection job, facilities, job description.
And you said they do or don't need a CDL?
They previously did, they're amending that to remove the CDL license requirement.
That'd just be a big truck, right, or something?
Okay. Okay. Back to the board for discussion. Okay. Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 14A, review, discuss previously declined hardship request appeal pursuant to the School Board of Highlands County Student Assignment Enrollment and Choice Plan.
I know, I kept looking out there.
My name is Alicia Newsom Reed, and I am here to appeal the decision that was made for me to move my daughter from Memorial Elementary. We were in the zone for Memorial Elementary before we moved on to Lakeview. After we moved on to Lakeview, I didn't want her to be skipping from school to school because she have already made her friends. Not only that, she's in the art class, and they kind of move up together in classes in peers. So I decided to keep her there until when she gets ready to leave Memorial Elementary. Then, of course, she would go to whatever middle school that she's zoned for, or that I'm zoned for. So the main reason why I kept her there, or I'm keeping her there, is because I want her to be in the environment that she knows from kindergarten. And I didn't just want to just move her out of it. So what I do, I take her to school and pick her back up. I think the issue was that she was being late, correct? She was being late for a period of time. And as I spoke to Miss Melissa, and I think they had a meeting with me over the phone, and I was explaining to them that what happened within that time, and I'm being specifically saying within that time because now I have addressed the problem. And the problem was that school starts at 7:20. Be there by 7:30 the latest. When she comes home from school, she's tired because I get her up like at about like between 6:30 to try to get her over. So when she comes home from school, she's tired. So sometimes on her way from school, she'll fall asleep in the car. Sometimes when she gets home, she drops her bag, everything, and she's just so tired, she falls asleep. Now, she's one of those child where if she gets 15 minutes sleep, she's up for a period of time. So she was sleeping, and then at night, she's not ready for bed, like at 8 or 9 o'clock. So by the time she goes to bed, you know, and the time that she has to get up, she's tired. So I said, okay, what I'm gonna do, and worse if I'm not at home, then she sleeps from like when she gets home from school till like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. So what I decided to do, I'm not gonna take up much of the time. What I decided to do was to have her to do something after she gets home from school. That way she can be up, and that way at 8:30, she can get tired, or she's tired enough where she can take a shower and go to bed. And that's what I have been doing. I keep her up, give her stuff to do, and not only give her stuff to do, but, you know, have her in programs. That way she can be tired by the time it's time to go to bed between 8:30, and she gets up on time for school, and I take her to school. So the main reason, like I said before, why I haven't changed her is because of the program that she's in, and she's been with her peers from kindergarten all the way up. That's the reason why I haven't changed it.
Which the same program is at Woodlawn also.
Yes, the same program is at Woodlawn also. And the other thing too, why I am appealing it for now is because we have 7 weeks leaving school. 7 weeks. They're already in the middle of taking FSA. And even though they have the same program at Woodlawn, yes, but different teachers have different methods on different ways in teaching stuff. So in other words, this teacher at Memorial may cover a particular thing, but not yet covered at Woodlawn, because it depends on the children. Sometimes you may have a class that you can run with and go fast with, and another year you may have a class that you have to take your time and kind of regress back a little bit because they're not so
Is she
fast.
also having trouble with absences?
I don't know about absences like that. I know where she's sick.
I'm trying to understand, how many days absent have we been totally because I want to do what's best for her, but I'm seeing that you're having a struggle with getting her to a school that's so far away for some reason, that I want to help that child get to school on time.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. If you look back, you'll see that she has been on time before now.
No.
She's in the 3rd grade. Checks from kindergarten come all the way up to 3rd grade.
I think I've got 2019 through 2022. And,
Yeah, tell us, because I don't have the attendance data pulled up.
yeah. Anything keeps changing.
It's on here.
Mrs. Blackman, can you read that? Thank you. 'Cause I just don't want to read it wrong. I'm trying to understand.
I don't have it pulled up.
The absences and the tardies.
My battery died.
Melissa Blackman, so the 2019 school year, there were a total of 10 absences and 4 tardies. The 20 school year, there were 9 absences, 7 tardies. The 21 school year, there were 26 absences, 21 tardies. And the 3rd grade school year, there were 15 absences and 37 tardies.
If she's not in school, and that teacher's great, is graded on that, she's not, I don't even know how she's gonna be able to take the test with as many days as she's missed and been tardy.
And when she's sick, because like I said to Miss Melissa, I'm the parent. If my children are sick, I'm not sending them to school. I don't do that. Because what it does, it creates a circle. So what she has, she give it to the next child, and the next child give it to the other child, and it goes around in a circle. So if she's not well, and I take her to the doctor, most of the time, the doctor will give me, excuse, note to take to the school. Now, when I explained to, Miss Melissa that part is on me because I never normally turn them in.
Because I'm seeing days unexcused in 2021, 22, and 2022, there were 14 days unexcused.
Well, in 2021, I think it was in the no, it was 2022 this year, I'm sorry. 2022, I think it was in the beginning when they got ready to go back to school, then she caught COVID.
COVID actually started in 2020.
I know, I'm saying for here, because Miss Melissa talked about 2022 also.
When did you actually move out of Memorial and
Zone?
moved into the Woodlawn zone?
2015.
2015.
So, actually, due to absences, I think the school is rescinding the waiver.
Okay. But
Is
2015,
that
no,
true?
that can't be, I mean,
No.
because she wouldn't have been in school in 2015, would she?
No, because she's in third grade.
Yeah.
There's not a rescission of the waiver, she's asking for a waiver to stay at the school because it was identified that she was not living at a zoned address at the school. So Mrs. Reed applied for a hardship waiver to stay at the school.
Okay.
So-
There's not a rescinding of the waiver.
And you moved to Lakeview in 2015?
The end.
Okay.
The end of 2015.
Yeah, you never should have been at Memorial.
Huh?
Were you not, were you not given the correct address at Memorial?
No, she was, I moved 2015 at the end. Oh, because she was staying with my mom after, yeah. She was staying with my mom, and my mom lives over there on Cod. So at the time, my son and her, when he was in the 5th grade, she started kindergarten. So that's 4 years ago.
Have any more questions? Do we have a motion? There's no motion, I'm so sorry.
What does that mean?
It stands.
It stands.
The denial of the waivers.
All I want her to do is just to finish out the 7 weeks, that's all.
If Melissa or Ms. Blackman, can she end
That's
this
all.
school year?
I don't want to move her now when they're in at the end and in the middle of FSA. The lady just talked to, earlier on about her child with, having 4 different teachers for language arts. And we're talking
I
about.
agree for the 7
Finish out the
weeks.
year.
And
Yeah,
we're
so
talking
finish out
about
the
the
school
school
year.
Tomorrow is the last
the
day
child.
of 3rd grade FSA.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
she
is the
might as
last
well
day.
finish
Finish out
out
the year.
the
And
year.
that I expect,
Finish out the
I understand if you
that
say,
makes sense.
let her finish out the year, but
Yes.
then you're gonna tell me no motion, and then we talk about the best interest of the child?
Yes,
Come on.
finish the year.
So do we need to
I
make
will
a
make a
motion?
Motion
The
to
best
finish.
interest of the child is to get her there on time and her be in the classroom and no more of these unexcused absences.
And that is what is happening now. Check the report, that is what
We
is happening now.
just looked at the
We just
report.
looked at it.
But I said, check it for the last couple of weeks, the last few weeks.
Okay, but that would be, if the board goes with it, it would be just for the remainder of the year.
And I understand that. That's what I said to her in the beginning.
Okay.
I will make a motion to allow her to stay at Memorial till the end of this school year, and then at that point, you move to wherever you're actually zoned for, be it Woodlawn or wherever you're living at that
Wherever.
time.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a second?
That's all.
I'll make a second.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Shoup?
Oh, are we going to have any
No, any
discussion?
we
I mean,
probably
I don't
discussion, more
know.
discussion.
Okay, I don't think so either. Yes.
Do I go second, I guess? Okay, Chair, yes, I never had that happen before, so. Okay. Ms. Howerton?
No.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
No.
Okay, it passes. 3-2. So you're, at the end of the year, you can stay at the school.
Did she say no?
She said no, but
You
you
said no, but you said yes.
Oh, I did say yes. I'm sorry. I'm so on the fence, I forgot.
Okay.
I know.
I'm sorry.
So it passes and we're good at the end of the year at the school. Okay, thank you. 15A, request to waive policy 6320.01 procurement and allow emergency purchase of two 2022 Ram 2500 crew cab trucks. Allen J. quote 36708-1 and 36705-2. Florida State term contract number 251-00000-21-1. And then thank you, Mr. Hills, because he's searched everywhere far and wide for these. Okay.
Make the motion to approve?
Okay.
I can't make a motion. so
You
don't
can't
look
make a
at me.
motion.
don't look at me, no.
She's gonna be out of.
I would be.
Out of the voting
yes.
anyways, and then, okay. There's no second.
Second.
Okay, so we'll just move to 15B. Consider approval to award contract for coil cleaning of air conditioning equipment to Honest Abe's Air Conditioning Incorporated, SBHC 2122-26.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion from Ms. Shoup, a second from Ms. Howerton. Public discussion?
Only one that did.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm getting a nod back in the far back, yes. I see them driving around
And
too.
we had some other locals, but they did not bid. He was the only one.
Okay, any more board discussion? Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 15C, consider approval to award contract for Fred Wild Building 7 re-roof to EO Cook, I think it is, Construction Company, SBHC 2122-27.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Ms. Howard, a motion from Ms. Shoup, a second from Ms. Howerton. Any public discussion? A
It's-
re-roofing of Fred Wild Elementary School, Building 7. Okay. Back to the board for discussion. Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Let's see what number that is. 15D, consider approval to award contract to replace windows at Avon Park Middle to Building 3, to Central Florida Glass and Mirror, SBHC 2122-31.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, a motion from Ms. Howerton, a second from Mrs. Shoup. Public discussion? Back to the board for discussion?
They have more to replace now? Is that?
Yeah, we're gonna have.
Yeah.
We're gonna be so far behind on windows. I know I'm waiting like 7 or 8 months for, in my house, so I know it's not gonna be easy, so. Okay, no more board discussion? Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Ms. Brantley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 15E, consider approval to award contract for custom cabinetry to D&N Cabinetry, SBHC 2122-30.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, a motion from Ms. Howerton, a second from Mrs. Shoup. Public discussion? Back to the board for discussion. Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Mrs., or Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. 15F, consider approval to award contract to Cracker Trail Elementary School HVAC, HVAC renovation to United Mechanical LLC, SBHC 2122-15.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, a motion from Ms. Shoup, a second from Ms. Compton Twist.
I didn't get to ask Mr. Brown, what's negotiated price mean? Do we get them down? Okay. So the second
Yeah.
number down, we got them down. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, back to the public discussion.
Yelling at, why don't you come to the mic? If you have a question,
Yeah.
like I said, go ahead and come to the mic. We're not taking yelling from the audience anymore.
Heidi White, is that to fix it or to get a new one?
It's renovation.
Mr. Brown?
Replace.
Okay. Board discussion? Ms. Shoup?
Yes.
Ms. Compton Twist?
Yes.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Ms. Howerton?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Any emergency items? Okay, legislative issues? Planning and zoning? 19 HCEA, HCESPA members' comments.
You're wearing lots of hats.
Tammy Mortensen, Vice President of the Support Union. Just one last plea, or one more plea, to please reconsider on that 1,500 up to the 4,000 on the ESSER funds. Or is it ESSER funds? Did I say that right? ESSER funds. Thanks.
Thank you. 20 school board attorney comments.
Thank you. I have several things. I apologize in advance. First, House Bill 7049, dealing with website advertisement, passed this year. Essentially, what they're allowing is advertising on a governmental website instead of advertising in the paper for all of our rule changes and everything else. The only catch is they only approved advertising on the county's website or other website designated by the county. I'm currently out working with school board attorneys to determine if that means if the county were to designate the school board's website as an appropriate website for advertising school board matters, then would that fall within the parameters of the law? I don't know that answer yet. Okay, so just to give you a heads up on that, right now what we're currently doing is we do advertise in the paper. It is a shortened version and it references back to our website. But because we're advertising in the paper, we still meet muster with that, okay? It's not like we're not advertising in the paper at all. And don't ask me about whether papers are going to survive now or not. I don't know. That's a big argument, though. Mr. LeBoza will be here April 19th to represent the board. So if you could help coordinate with him, Ms. Marlene, on any issues that you're aware of that might come up, or other staff members. We have an issue with I don't know how many of you have ever come in the back way, but there's a little playground down here, okay? The county put the playground in with a grant. There was grant money associated with it. This was all done before I became school board attorney. That's how long it's been around. But there was the legal description is very strange. I have no idea how it was developed or who developed it or whatever. But it only includes the basketball courts and a ball field back there. The county has since installed, I presume they did, somebody did, we didn't, playground equipment there. The county, it needed some repairs. A patron complained. We took it to the county. The county says, well, that's not our problem. That's not even on land releasing. Well, no, it is your problem. You put it in. So we're going back and forth with all that. The last evolution was, they said, well, if you would agree to convey us the property, we don't want to lease it, we want you to convey it to us where the playground is located. So, I'm not asking you to vote on this tonight, I'm bringing it up to let you know. It likely will come back as a future item for your consideration. I don't know if the board wants to declare that property surplus and convey it to another governmental entity, namely the county, at no cost, or what you want to do. If you want, the options are these, okay? The options are to say, well, county, we're willing to lease it to you, we're not going to give it to you, and you can keep your playground down there. Okay, I suspect this had a lot to do with the grant, probably had something to do with putting parks in minority areas. I don't know that for a fact, but that would be what I think. And so I think that the requirement to keep the park probably runs out with the lease term, which is next year, I believe. And so if that were to occur, that, you know, your position could be, thank you very much, take your equipment, and it's been a good lease, you know. Or you could say, well, we like the park there, we're willing to lease it to you, but we're not going to give you the land. Or you could say, fine, here's the land, we'll happily give it to you, you know. That's gonna come back to you. I want you to
Okay.
be thinking about
Yeah.
it. I'm not trying to force anything down, but considerations, or talk with whoever about it. So, there it is. I could say a lot of things about the speakers here today. I thought they were two very poised young ladies. I was quite impressed with their ability. They didn't stutter over anything. I mean, I would have been falling all over myself. And for Mr. Aceto, that first of many awards he's going to be getting, I think. Okay, so the timing of the speaker card submission. You know, if you go to most other places, you're not allowed to keep bringing cards up during the course of the meeting. So every time we make a rule, we break it. You know, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. I mean, how many times did that happen tonight? You know, the back and forth with just a lot. It's just all night long, okay? So if you're going to have some rules, I'd suggest you enforce the rules. That's just my thought. And then secondly, with respect to the cards, if there's a time limitation on when they can be turned in, that needs to be made clear to everybody. You need to put a sign out front, perhaps, whatever else, okay? If you're going to speak, turn your card in before the meeting starts. That's everywhere else you go, you're going to have that situation. All right, last thing I've got is Headfield lease needs to be renewed. If you want to renew that lease, I can't imagine why you wouldn't, but it is expiring in August of this year, and because it is expiring, if we want to extend the lease or renew the lease, we have to give them 90 days' notice of our intent to renew. That's going to be at the May meeting, so just give you a heads up. I don't know if
What
any-
is the cost of the lease?
Cost of the lease?
Oh.
I don't know. Might not be any cost.
Okay.
I'd have to look at that again. Is there a cost, Marlene? You see me? I don't remember anything about a cost.
Okay, you just let me know that.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
it's, you know,
Okay.
it's just, we use it to
The
play
city
ball.
owns
Right.
that?
City owns it.
Okay.
Okay.
August 26, 2022. Okay. So, heads up about that too. I would intend to draft a lease renewal. I would think for the same term as before, 20 years. I can't envision why we wouldn't be playing baseball on that nice field for the next 20 years. So, we played baseball on that field when I was a kid.
I was getting ready to ask you that.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So, I'll bring that back to you in May if you're good with that. And that's all I've got. I just say I love my community too. I think it's a great community. I think y'all are wonderful board members, and the community input, I just thought was justified and very good. So there you have it. Thank you. That's all I've got.
Ms. Brantley?
Nope, just glad to see all the parents that come out tonight. Obviously, we want them to stay engaged as long as they possibly can. Thank you.
Ms. Compton-Twist?
I agree. I was happy to hear the presentation for child abuse prevention. I hope that sprinkles throughout the community and that we get more people involved with that, and just bring it to light so that more people can help support our youth. And I think that everyone was impressed with the Sebring Middle School students. Those girls were very poised, as Mr. McClure said. And we cannot highlight enough the Champion for Children recipient, the award recipient. I think all of us have gotten information from his scholarship that he promotes. And then to find out that, you know, he's a high school student, and went, wow, that's amazing. So kudos to him. And, you know, we all say this every meeting, but we are glad for our community and the involvement, and we're very, very happy that you guys are involved, and like Mr. Brantley said, that we hope that you continue to be involved.
Ms. Howerton?
So on Sebring Middle School, excellent job, and thank you to all the parents and faculty that came on behalf of things we don't hear from you. It's just very good to know all the information that was provided. Thank you.
Ms. Shoup?
Yeah, just ditto on all that, but I also would like to thank everyone who was involved in getting the information on the workshop with the academy that we had today. A lot of work to be done there,
Yes.
so thank you for everyone who took part, and I don't really see anyone that was here, but anyway. Thank you. And then just with the pinwheel and also the Champion for Children Award, I think Isaac and I were the only two board members there, and then Dr. Longshore was there. But it's a very nice evening. And it wasn't long, it wasn't drawn out, it was right to the point, and it's school night, so I would encourage if anyone, next year to try and do that. And I think that was it. And appreciate everyone coming out to talk.
Again,
Be here with us.
appreciative of all of the workshops we have. It's a busy workshop month. We have a lot of things that we talked about doing for a long, long time, and we're doing them. So this board is moving forward. This board is trying to improve our school system, and we're going to continue to do that to the bitter end. So there you go. So, and at this point, I will call this meeting adjourned. We will now enter our executive session as a board.
Okay. Well, whatever it is, I'll bring it. Thank you for the heads up. Arlene, I'm gonna leave you the pen.
Now we're going to executive session. Yep.